from the Chicago team. Larmer with a pass to Brent Sutter. He shoots. He scores! Now to Lemieux over the Chicago line. Lemieux trying to move through the defense. Had a bouncing puck to contend with. Put it in front and scores! Here in a row, and here's Yager with the puck. Yager, nice move around Brent Sutter to the backhand. Lets it go. He scores! Knocking to Sutter. Visitor puts the stick down first. Francis won the draw. Murphy with a shot. The rebound. They score! Lemieux!
Pittsburgh's thrilling 13th playoff victory. It takes 16 to get the cup. The defending champs are home again, seeking a 2-0 lead in the final series with Chicago next. Times of peace are brief in this game. The Blackhawks knew that as they waited to start the hitting. There are contact sports, then there are collision sports. Game 1 was collision. At one point he was bewildered, but later on in Game 1 he celebrated. Pittsburgh took that one. Game 2 tonight here at Civic Arena in Pittsburgh between the Chicago Blackhawks and the Penguins. Hi everybody, along with John Davidson, I'm Mike Emmerich. I think we're going to see even more hockey sock hitting here in this contest tonight. The Blackhawks have to do that because that's a part of their game. If they lose this one tonight, they're forced to win 4 of the remaining 5 against a very strong Pittsburgh club. Well, Roenick and also Ed Belfour, the goaltender and the leading forward, the stars of the team, did not perform that well in the first game of this series. The star shines brightly on them again tonight. What must they do first, Belfour?
Well, I think with Eddie Belfour was very well documented that he did not play well in Game 1, especially by his coach saying so. And that has been a situation that the two of them have gone through together before. Today, Eddie Belfour spent some time talking with Mike Keenan about the way he played. He was shaky. You could see it the way he dropped the stick 2 or 3 times. He was off balance and he let bad goals in. He's got to play well. He's got to play well for Chicago to win on the road.
Jeremy Roenick came up completely empty, and when your big scorer does that, boy, you really hurt.
You know, it was his first ever Stanley Cup final game, and he talked about how he couldn't get his mind focused. His mind was racing in all different directions. He just couldn't get focused on the ice. But he, too, was another player that responds very well after having a less-than-average game. He's their key forward, Mike, and he's got to play well here. He'll see a lot of Ulf Samuelsson and Paul Stanton as a pair on the blue line, mainly because Stanton has good speed, Roenick has great speed. It should be a good matchup.
Penguins won the first game, but they really weren't pleased with the fact that they won that first game. What do they have to do differently?
Well, they did a lot of good things in the second period, Mike, after they adjusted to the Chicago pinching and hitting along the boards. See Steve Smith here moving in to pinch as the Penguin team is trying to come out of their own zone along the boards. Big hit by Steve Smith on Yager as the defenseman pinches up. That creates a turnover. Goulet comes into the middle with a pass across. It leads to a Chicago goal. Chicago was outstanding with this style of play, defenseman pinching through the first half of the game. Here in the second period, you'll see an adjustment by the Penguins. Move the forwards out high. Get them out there quick. That makes the defenseman back out. Look at this. You see all 3 of the forwards. 2 of them are over the blue line where that first arrow was. That is usually where the defenseman is pinching. But they can't do it with all that speed coming at them as Pittsburgh moves out. Now you see the two defensemen. Now instead of pinching, they're almost already back to their own blue line. All that neutral zone area is wide open. The Penguins fly out of the zone, and they get that up-tempo game they want. Scotty Bowman wants a fast-paced game.
And he usually gets what he wants. At least he did the first time.
Well, we'll see. There's a lot of hot red jerseys out there, too.
We'll see them as well. You have the strategy for the night. We'll join our men in the booth, Jakes McDonald and Bill Clement, with the start of the game in just a moment.
Welcome back to the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Championship. Pittsburgh leading 1-0. I'm Jakes McDonald with Bill Clement. There's been a standing ovation going on here for this Pittsburgh team, and now the chant is going up. They'd like nothing better than to see the Penguins go to Chicago up 2-0. A couple of Blackhawks keys in Game 1 will be factors again tonight. That defense combination of Chris Chelios and Steve Smith.
Jakes, they played as dominant a game as a pair as I've ever seen in the National Hockey League. And as much ice time as they got in Game 1, believe it or not, Mike Keenan might try to give them more. He's going to play them together, and at times he'll split them up so they can get even more ice time and play with other people.
They both played over half the game. Can they handle any more ice time?
I think they can. These guys are studs. I really like them. But Kevin Stevens is going to be trying to hit them. I think the Penguins are going to try to take the body to Chelios and Smith a little bit tonight.
Kevin Stevens wasn't much of a factor for the Penguins in Game 1. We've learned now that he was under the weather a little.
Well, he had the flu, and we didn't realize that.
In our anthem.
You see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rattling, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say just that star-spangled
Again tonight, 11-year-old Christina Aguilera with her rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, and a Stanley Cup first as Terry Gregson, an 11-year veteran of the National Hockey League wars, will get his first start as an official in a Stanley Cup final game, joined by Swede Knox and Ray Scapinello as the linesman assigned to this game. No change for the Blackhawks. Ed Belfour will be the starting goaltender with Dominik Hasek as his backup.
And everybody knows that Ed Belfour had an off night in Game 1, but at the other end of the ice, Tom Barrasso and the Pittsburgh Penguins, Tom Barrasso feels he can play better as well, that there were a couple of goals he could have stopped, and he'd better fasten his seatbelt because the Hawks will be coming at him.
Tonight's opening face-off is brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. The Penguins in the white had Ron Francis there to take the face-off against the Blackhawks' Brent Sutter. Gordy Roberts and Larry Murphy, the Pittsburgh defense pairing. The forward line, Francis between Stevens and McEachern. The puck shot the length of the ice. Steve Smith went back to touch up. The obvious icing call against the Penguins.
Mike Keenan has made a couple of lineup changes for this one. Out of the lineup come Cam Russell from the blue line. He's a defenseman. And Rob Brown, the ex-Penguin. Greg Gilbert is in up front. Rod Buskus is in on defense. Scotty Bowman going with the same lineup.
Scotty Bowman, 59 years of age. Mike Keenan, 42. 17-year difference. And a difference dramatic in experience, but certainly not in style. They are so similar there. The face-off will come in the circle to the left of the Pittsburgh goal. Jeremy Roenick on the face-off now for Chicago. Larmer takes it here on the right side, and the shot ended up in the far corner. Paul Stanton Trying to move it up toward Rick Tocchet. It's nudged to the line, but not outside. Barrasso held it back in the net for Ulf Samuelsson. Up the middle again. Ron Francis tips it towards center ice. This is Rick Tocchet. He's belted from behind by Roenick. Balfour out of the net, plays it around to the far side. Stu Grimson. Now to Chelios. Grimson did not get to play in game one. He was dressed. Here's Larmer with a shot right on. Big rebound, but it's handled by the Pittsburgh Penguins. And Mario Lemieux takes a hit after clearing it out of the zone. Grimson got the body into Lemieux. Chicago starting out. Steve Smith and Chelios. Smith carrying the puck. Dumps it in wide of Barrasso's net. Impact trying to come up the boards this time. It's held at the line. This is Kravchuk. Fires one. Pad save by Barrasso. And they had Sutter parked right in front of the net. The game just nicely underway. Matteau chases Pack behind the net. Puck up the right wing boards, but not out of the Pittsburgh zone. Now it's tipped outside the line, and back goes Sutter. Red Sutter feeds Kravchuk. Pittsburgh in the middle of a player change. Igor Kravchuk, long pass to the left side, and it's dumped in by Frank Kuchera. Also held it up. And the Penguins, Woody Roberts has given it to Loney. Now to Yager, 2 men back. Yager over the line, pulls up, looks for somebody to give it to, and then shot it wide. Loney bumped into Belfour, knocking him down, and the Blackhawks have shot at the length of the ice. Russell will come out to play it. Again, turns it up the right wing boards. Here's Roberts. His pass hit Loney on the skates. Yager frees it up, makes the backhand pass onto the stick of Francis. He's met immediately by Peluso. Chicago starting out of the zone. We played just over 2 minutes of the first period. Chicago has iced the puck. Ulf Samuelsson back to put a stick on it. Little pushing, some scuffling here after the whistle. Peluso involved, getting things revved up for the Blackhawks, and there's going to be a penalty against Peluso. Terry Gregson sends Peluso off, and Pittsburgh goes to the power play.
The Pittsburgh Penguins went 2 for 6 on their power play in game one, and thanks to a roughing call on Mike Peluso of the Blackhawks, the Penguins are going to be out there again on their power play. The Blackhawks have to be so careful of situations like this, not only because the Penguins are going to turn the other cheek, and here you see Peluso trying to rough up Kevin Stevens, but there is an unknown, a variable in this game that nobody understands, and he's on the left of your screen. That's Terry Gregson. This is his first game in the Stanley Cup Finals, and we're not sure, nobody is, the Hawks, the Penguins, the fans, us, how he's going to react. The Hawks have to be careful.
Yeah, I think so, and we just saw Peluso take that unnecessary penalty, in my opinion. Ron Francis.
That's one of the things the Hawks try to do, though, is lure you into those scrums, get you off your game. But if they have to pay a high price to do it, they can't afford to do it.
Pittsburgh won the draw, but now the Blackhawks have played it around the boards and down the ice. The Pittsburgh power play with Ron Francis, Kevin Stevens, and Jaromir Jagr as the forward line on defense. Playing the left point is Lemieux. Stevens Murphy, on the right point. That's Jagr tipping it into the zone, and Chelios is able to move it right back out again. The Blackhawks have had the only shots on goal thus far, 2 of them. Now Francis plays it up off the boards. It was behind Jaromir Jagr and shot right back in by Chris Chelios of the Blackhawks. Barrasso, had a little trouble with it, and there's Larmer right on him. Out of the corner they come. Brian Noonan puts it back of the net, and Tom Barrasso leaves it there. This is Stevens. Around to Murphy. A lot of time being spent in the Pittsburgh end of the ice here. Now Murphy puts it into the skates of Kevin Stevens, who carries it across the line. 3 Blackhawks got back. That's Lemieux to Francis to the side of the net. Tocchet plays it around the boards. Jagr with it. Back of the goal to Tocchet. It jumped over his stick. Steve Larmer gets to it. Larmer can't play it out of the zone. Now he gets it a second chance and dumps it down.
Boy, the Blackhawks aren't going to back off an inch. Up ice pressure, tremendous. They killed a good 30 seconds of this power play just by playing deep in the Penguin zone. And then once the Penguins set up, they don't give him much time. As soon as the Penguins make a pass, they go right to the guy that's receiving the pass. And they don't get out of position doing it. That's the key.
Perfect illustration right there as they tried to give it to McEachran in that Chicago zone. There was a man on him, and again, it's cleared out.
And in spite of the fact that the Blackhawks gave up 2 power play goals in the first game, I thought their penalty killing was terrific.
Agreed. Once more, Rick Tocchet with the feed here to McEachran. He's given it to Lemieux. Back to Tocchet. Lets it go, and it was just wide. The Blackhawks race after the loose puck. Here's Jeremy Roenick down right wing. Roenick shoots one just wide as the penalty is expired, and the puck is loose at center. McEachran tipped it, but Goulet is back. Michel Goulet rubbed out by Tocchet. McEachern can't sneak around Kuchera, or Kravchuk, excuse me. And the Blackhawks recover in their own zone. And now they'll get a chance to bring it out. Igor Kravchuk through center ice. And shot it in right at the end of his shift. And the Penguins trying to move it out too. Brian Trottier moves up. Trottier with two Blackhawks at the blue line. Cuts to the right side. Gets Marchment turned around. Put it in front. And Kravchuk is able to recover. Kravchuk with a pass to the right side for Greg Gilbert. Back to Kravchuk. Drop pass. Marchment failed to pick it up, and the Blackhawks recover at center ice. Nearing 5 minutes played in the opening period. There is no score. A giveaway in the Pittsburgh zone. This is Hudson. Mike Hudson tumbles as he went to make the play, and Pack slaps it around to the near side. Buskus holds it in. Buskus and Gilbert into the lineup tonight, both out here together. Buskus on the right side of the defense, teamed up with Marchment. Troy Loney moved up but couldn't break up that cross-ice pass, and Brian Marchment dumps it in. Jim Pack with it here, tried to backhand it out. Could not. He's on it again, and immediately Hudson gets to him. Bill Bourque with an outlet. Jock Callender comes down the left side. He slams into a check at the blue line and gets away from Buskus. But the Blackhawks are able to recover the puck, and Brian Marchment gave it to Buskus. Long cross-ice pass. Jumped off the boards ahead of Brent Sutter. Here's Jock Callender. Three Hawks stretched out at the blue line as Callender sneaks in along the boards. Callender trying to get away from Graham. Put it out in front. Had a man open. But they couldn't complete the pass to Gordy Roberts. Now Roberts at center ice. Shoots it in. At Belfour. Chris Chelios. Chelios being pulled back a little by the check of Callender. Kevin Stevenson forechecking. Tied up Dirk Graham. Now the Hawks try to come up the near boards. Big Mario Lemieux covering the left point. The puck was dumped out, and there's Yager tipping it to Stevens. Stevens, Lemieux, and Yager for Pittsburgh. The Roenick line is out for Chicago. Again, they have Stu Grimson playing left wing. Here's Stevens across the line. Kevin Stevens, a backhander. Belfour got a chunk of that. The puck loose behind the Chicago goal. Chelios turns it up the boards.
Or you might get a shot away when you're trying to get around Chris Chelios, but that's it. And it was a weak backhand by Kevin Stevens. Boy, did he pay the price.
And Kevin Stevens with another backhander, and Belfour makes the save and holds on. We went nearly, well, over 4.5 minutes without a whistle, and we're still waiting for the first goal of this game. Mike Keenan has been known to make goaltending changes regularly. He was asked today what he would do if Ed Belfour had a bad start in this game.
I was waiting for that one. Nobody. Eddie's going to play well tonight. But if history has anything to do with this, don't hold me to my word.
No, we wouldn't hold Mike to his word. Belfour has had 3 saves to make, 2 of them on the backhands. Now as play gets underway, the Chicago Blackhawks come out of the zone. Stumped in by Steve Smith, taken out of the corner here by Brent Sutter. Sutter rubbed out of the boards. Mario Lemieux waiting for the puck to come out of those skates. Now Lemieux reaches in, can't get it away from Matteau. Stefan Matteau comes to the corner, looks for a man in front. Sutter, what a stop by Barrasso. Sutter had it again and gets checked. Kevin Stevens leaves it, and Tocchet rushes through center ice, but the puck went off his stick right to Chelios. Up to Matteau. Stefan Matteau with a shot. Barrasso the save. Matteau tied up by Wolf Samuelson. Dirk Graham plays it around the boards. Here's Sutter. Back of the net to Graham. Nice turn on Stanton, but he couldn't recover the puck. The Penguins move it up the left side. The outlet to Lemieux was there, and he couldn't trap it. Here's Chelios, a delayed penalty against Pittsburgh. Chelios puts it in front. It bounces around. Big scramble. The net comes off, and play is called now by referee Gregson. There is no score. Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final as we pause for a regional break. The 1992 Stanley Cup Finals, live and exclusive on Sports Channel America.
Well, here's the pinch we were talking about. Chelios is on the left, 2 Penguins on the right. Chelios doesn't honor them, meaning they go by him and he still pinches along the boards. We stop it right here and show you Chelios pinches. If Stevens gets it by him, the Penguins have a 2-on-1. So obviously the Hawks are going to pinch anyway. It's going to be a gambling situation every time Chris Chelios pinches. But on this one, he gambled, did well, and ended up drawing 2 penalties on the play.
Yeah, he gets the first for tripping, and then he'll knock the net off. And that is a delay of the game penalty, both against Paul Stanton at the 7:38 mark.
Chris Chelios' athletic ability is second to none in this league. He pinched in there. He is so hard to get the puck by because his feet are so good. He's like a soccer player.
On the power play, Chelios gathered the puck in and then gave it to Larmer. Shoots one off Barrasso. Big rebound. Roenick has it. Jeremy Roenick can't find Brian Noonan in time, and then he couldn't get it to the man at the point. And out comes Jagr. Oh, up goes the stick. That was Lemieux, excuse me. Mario trying to draw a penalty. Now the play offside. Lemieux will check to see if he's been cut. Ron Francis has taken the appeal to the referee. Mario's okay.
Well, I'll tell you something. Terry Gregson just passed his first test. A lot of times during the regular season, this thing is blown down immediately. I don't think this hits Mario in the face. It's almost like his Adam's apple in his throat. So he buckled over, and Terry Gregson just let the play continue. And as a result, Mario was forced to get back into it. And he seems to be all right. So I think Terry Gregson's perception of that was pretty keen, pretty good.
Now Brent Sutter wins the draw. Played the puck to center, but Samuelson. Nice back and forth with Lemieux. To Murphy. He skies it down into the Chicago zone. Belfort out to play it. Leave it for Chris Chelios. Chelios being booed as he handles the puck. Went to the left side for Larmer. 3 Penguins back. Larmer failed to complete the move at the blue line. Oh, Samuelson chases it. Brent Sutter is right on him. Took Samuelson into the boards heavily. Chelios to Kravchuk for the shot. Good save by Barrasso.
Man, the Hawks can put so much heat on you when you're going back to the glass, and that's what they did on Ulf Samuelsson. He tried to blast it out. Chelios got it, moved it to Kravchuk, and here's Kravchuk's shot. He waited until Jeremy Roenick was crossing in front, and Roenick, instead of going for the screen, went for the deflection. When you miss the deflection, it's a pretty easy catch for the goalie, so he opted for the deflection and missed it.
Saw the note on Scotty Bowman, the number of games coached in Stanley Cup playoff history. Most ever. Brent Sutter will take the face-off once more against Ron Francis. Little stick slapping outside the face-off circle. Now the puck put in play, and the Blackhawks get it. Here's Kravchuk, fires one. That hit Francis. Jeremy Roenick sets up the man at the point. Kravchuk around the boards for Steve Larmer. Larmer, the league's current Iron Man, sets up Chelios at the point. Now into Brent Sutter to the corner. And the whistle has sounded. The fans were yelling and screaming. The Pittsburgh bench was yelling that the puck was shot back in offside, and now it's being called and brought out by linesman Ray Scapinello.
Can you believe Chris Chelios had 37 minutes of ice time in game 1? And depending on how this game goes, Mike Keenan told us today that Chris Chelios didn't even seem out of breath when he came back to the bench. A couple of times he was angry that he was taken off. He wanted to play more. And depending on how this game goes, he might crack the 40-minute mark.
Wow.
Simply because Mike Keenan is going to play him even strength on the kill, on the power play. And he will not only play him with Steve Smith, he said, but he'll move him around with other guys as well.
Safe to use the word horse. He is one. Chelios sets up Kravchuk. Again, a long shot from the point turned aside. Larmer after the rebound, takes it off the boards here. Can't get it to Chelios. It does pop loose and through Roenick. Jeremy Roenick gets it to Larmer. Now to Chelios. Back to Larmer. Larmer turns, works it in deeper for Brent Sutter. Put it back in the net. Roenick unable to center it in front, and Mario Lemieux gets it to the line, but no further. Now it's cleared out as Shel Samuelson tipped it through the center ice area. 15 seconds left in the first of the 2 penalties against Paul Stanton. Kravchuk hard around the boards this time. It skipped away from Barrasso. Jim Pack trying to tie up Brian Noonan as they go to the corner. Now Shel Samuelson back to help out, and he moved it up the left wing boards for Bob Airy. The first penalty is over. Chicago had 2 shots. And still it's 5-on-4 hockey. A breaking pass out of the zone. Bob Airy picks up the puck. Airy on the back end. He scores!
What a play by Bob Airy. Twice he lost the puck as he was trying to get away from traffic. Mario Lemieux went to the bench for a line change, and Airy just kept on going. Here he loses it, lost it again, had to get it, and there's only one place this shot could have gone, I think, wide off the post. Eddie Belfour, I thought, played this as well as he could. Bob Airy had to execute a perfect shot, and he did. No room. He had to bank it in just about off the post, and he did. So a shorthanded goal on a tremendous individual effort by Bob Airy has given the Penguins a 1-0 lead.
The third shorthanded goal for Pittsburgh in the playoffs of '92, and the second that the Blackhawks have allowed in their playoff games. But Chicago still on the power play, and they're back into the Pittsburgh zone. Stefan Matteau plays it toward the corner. Ulf Samuelsson got a stick on it. Trying to get it to Lemieux. It didn't get through. Matteau. The Goulet back to the blue line. This is Noonan. Across to Steve Smith to Brian Noonan. The Goulet to Noonan. Long shot. Tipped and wide of the net. That came off the Pittsburgh defenseman Ulf Samuelsson. Now Matteau out of the corner to Noonan. Brian Noonan, the long shot in and out of the pads, and Francis gets to it. Chip shot out of the zone and down the ice. 1 minute remaining in the penalty time against Pittsburgh. The Blackhawks. Steve Smith drives it around the boards. Barrasso holds it up. Played it to the right side. It hit Roenick. Goes to Larmer. Steve Larmer trying to come off the boards. Puts it in deeper for Brent Sutter. He's rubbed out. Down goes a Blackhawk, and Larmer is upset. The Penguins with the puck. Phil Bourque plays it to the right side to Bob Airy. Nice move to get it through the skates of Noonan, but not to a teammate in time, and there will be a penalty. Phil Bourque was taken down, and there goes the last 33 seconds of a Chicago power play. They'll be at 5 aside momentarily. The boss man of the Tampa Bay Lightning taking in tonight's game, and he's got a very important date later on with a coin toss.
And this will be an important kill for the Blackhawks because only 33 seconds remains in the penalty to Paul Stanton. Here comes Bourque with the puck. Nice bank off the boards to Bob Airy, and then Phil Bourque tried to go wide around Steve Smith. Phil Bourque really exaggerated it to make it look good. And you know what? I really thought Terry Gregson was going to give Bourque one too, because you could see the retaliation with the stick. He didn't go for that, but he went for the hold by Steve Smith. So in 33 seconds, the Penguins will be on the power play, but boy, has Bob Airy ever found his legs quickly.
Just back from that shoulder separation, played the opening game of this series a little earlier in the lineup than a lot of us had expected. And now the Penguins win the draw, and here's Roberts at the point. Puts it off the far corner boards. Lemieux trying to center it out in front. He had McEachran there and couldn't get the puck to him. The Blackhawks send Brent Sutter to center ice. 3 Penguins back. Now Kravchuk with a long shot that's wide. Also tips it to Roberts. Gives the puck to McEachran. 3 Hawks get back. That's Lemieux. Long pass to McEachran. McEachran pulls up on Kravchuk. McEachran gets right back on it. Kravchuk did not release him, and the Chicago Blackhawks start out of the zone. Chelios from center ice. Takes the shot, now dumps it in, and that goes up into the seats. 1 minute and 21 seconds left of the holding penalty against Steve Smith. So Pittsburgh making a change here, going to the power play. Let's check in with our John Davidson.
3. Brian, on the day of a game in the finals, you spend time talking to each coach. Do you do it together or separately? And what do you get into?
Well, we meet with the coaches independently at a time convenience to those, or convenience to both coaches rather, but very definitely done in separate rooms, so there's no confusion, no elements of concern, and allows them to vent their frustrations. We may talk about individual situations that happen throughout the game. I would share with them some of the notes and things that I'd monitored. So if they raised and said that was something that happened at a certain point in the game, I would use my notes from a totally neutral perspective. And the idea is that they have to have an opportunity to express their concerns, and likewise, our first opportunity, where our first obligation to them is to listen and not to overreact to some of the concerns, but do what's in the best interest of the game at hand.
If you can answer quickly, yes or no, were they happy with game 1?
I would say satisfied. Disappointed to a point. We're quite pleased for what it is we saw, and we just look for things to be better.
Thanks. Good luck.
8 minutes remaining in the opening period of this game, too. And right now, Pittsburgh has a man advantage. Steve Smith is in the box for holding. Pittsburgh up 1-0. Larry Murphy controlling the puck. Sends Kevin Stevens out through center ice. Stevens trying to slip it in around Chris Chelios, who has recovered but didn't get it out. Now the Blackhawks do clear it down the ice, and out comes Tom Barrasso to meet the puck. Larry Murphy goes back to the goal as Francis open on the left wing boards. Rick Tocchet came back in on the right side. Now Kevin Stevens goes to the right. The puck went to the left, and Francis shoots it down into the Chicago zone. Chris Chelios takes a look, and clears it the rest of the way on into the Pittsburgh end. 28 seconds left in a Pittsburgh power play. The Penguins have been outshot 2-1 in the period. 8 shots to 4. Kravchuk shot it off the boards, also off the leg of referee Terry Gregson, and it's recovered here by Tocchet. Tocchet slips it to Stevens, but they're offside, trying to penetrate at the Chicago blue line.
Boy, the Penguins have had so much trouble bringing the puck up the ice, and the Hawks have done a good job of cutting off the passing lanes. It's tough to make 2 men appear to be 3 men, and that's what you have to do when you're killing penalties up front. You've only got 2 forwards to try to stop the rush. Rick Tocchet brought it up and backhanded one over to Mario Lemieux, and just didn't get there in time, so the offside.
This man has been so prominent on the streets of Pittsburgh the last couple of days. The honorary celebrity captain, I should say, of the Blackhawks. He's been busy, hasn't he?
You can recognize Jim Belushi tucked in there, but he's got so many signs we can't even see him.
All right, Jim. 7 minutes, 8 seconds remaining in this opening period. Get those signs out. He can do it to me again.
He did a radio show, and they asked him who was going to win, and he said, Hawks. They said, what's the spread? He said, 60.
I wonder if he spent any time with the Penguin celebrity captain, Mr. Rogers, from the neighborhood. Puck is being brought back into the Pittsburgh zone. An icing call against the Penguins. We'll be right back. As you see, a little under 7 minutes remaining in the opening period. The only goal, Bob Airey with a pass from Jim Pack. A shorthanded goal at 9:52 of the opening period. Brian Trottier squares to face off against Jeremy Roenick. Trottier won the draw. Stanton plays it around the boards. Off Yager, shot right back in by Chicago. Knocked out of the air and recovered by Paul Stanton. Shot is on target. Fans react to Belfour's routine save, and Yager drives in looking for a loose puck. Boy, Loney had tied up Chelios for a long time. He's still on top of Chelios as Trottier gets to it. Trottier turned it toward the corner. Loney and Chelios together again, and here's Goulet. Michel Goulet to the line, but not out. Yager is dumped it toward the corner. Interesting that on the ice right now, 2 500-goal scorers in NHL history, Brian Trottier and Michel Goulet. And here's Larmer up the slot. Got turned around, and the Penguins can't get it out of the zone. Roenick pushed off the puck by Ulf Samuelsson. Larmer moves it back to the blue line. Chelios puts it in deeper. Out it comes to Roenick, slipped it across. Steve Smith was interfered with by Yager, and a nice play by Yager as he moves it to the stick of Loney. Loney over the line. Protects the puck, gave it to Yager, and Roenick slams into him.
That's how you have to take Yager.
Now Chelios takes the puck over the line, played it around Jim Pack, tips it in front, and Gilbert was well covered. Greg Gilbert trying to center it again. Yager is hit as he moves, or Lemieux rather, as he moved it to Yager, and the Blackhawks recover at center ice. This is Brian Noonan laying it down the boards. Rosso elects to play it up the wing himself, and it's cleared out here by Lemieux. Ork couldn't get to it. So the Penguins will once more start from deep in their own zone. Just over 5 minutes to play in the first period. Kjell Samuelsson cross ice. On to Phil Borkstick. 2 Blackhawks at the blue line. Bork drops it. Here's Lemieux to Yager. Tocchet. His shot is blocked and recovered by the Chicago Blackhawks. Noonan comes to center and elects to dump it in. Blackhawks in the middle of a player change. Tom Barrasso handling the puck with a pass to Rick Tocchet. Up to Stevens, trying to knock it away from Kravchuk at the blue line. Chicago able to clear it, and back in to recover for Pittsburgh is Gord Roberts. Roberts goes up the middle. Nobody touches it except the goaltender, and that avoids an icing call, and then he gave it away. Stevens shot it wide. Eddie Belfour not sharp on that play. Or as Roberts says, the pocket is picked, and Matteau is across the line. Stefan Matteau drives on Roberts. Face to the corner. Roberts had the puck in his skates. Now Francis tries to move it along the boards. Jocelyn Lemieux there as well. The puck still in the corner. Comes loose. Francis turns it around to the left wing boards. Chelios pinched in. Stevens was there. And a nice backup in the play by Stu Grimson to keep it in. Jocelyn Lemieux for Chicago. Plays it around the boards. In after it is Chelios. Puts it back to the net. They tried to center. Lemieux was there, but they couldn't get it to him.
Well, what a tremendous example of how the Chicago Blackhawks forecheck. It's a 5-man forecheck. Chelios was involved. And the 3 forwards, Stefan Matteau, Stu Grimson, and Jocelyn Lemieux, these guys are grinders. I mean, if they get 6 to 10 goals a season, either one of them, they're happy. But they can still put on a ton of pressure because of the way the team forechecks.
They just did it, and they're right back with another good forecheck by Michel Goulet. And then a long shot from Brent Sutter is grabbed and held. Tom Barrasso has it safely tucked away in that big catching glove. In his case, it's on the right hand.
Well, yesterday wasn't a complete day off for us. Jaromir Jagr allowed me to get close to him with our home movie camera. So during the first intermission, our 1-minute movie is Driving with Jaromir. And Jeremy Roenick has been getting close to Jaromir himself in this game. That's how Jeremy Roenick has to play. And Jigs, I didn't see him hit one guy in game 1, and that was Lemieux getting hit by Mike Hudson. I didn't know if Lemieux would go down and not get up from that cut. Hudson blindsided him, really hit him. So the Hawks are right on their game plan. The forecheck is right on their game plan, and they're down 1-0. It sounds like game 1 all over again, except Chicago had the lead. Chicago is playing the game the way they want to play it, taking the body to the big names on the Penguins team, and they're forechecking like crazy.
Are they ever? Pittsburgh with a 1-0 lead. Francis turns the puck up to Trache off the left side, and his shot hit Belfour and ended up back in the net. Now Jagr puts it on target. Michel Goulet is there for the Blackhawks. Long pass to Dirk Graham, kicked off his skates. Ryan Marchment moves across the blue line. Got bumped off the puck by Roberts, and here's Murphy. Now to Trache. Ryan Trache over the Chicago line. Held it and then dumped it toward the corner. Big hit. And another hit as Bob Berry separated the Blackhawks defenseman Brian Marchment from the puck. Back in is Roberts. Over to Murphy. Murphy plays it up the right side. Bob Berry didn't chase it this time. Mario Lemieux, Rick Tocchet, and Phil Bourque out on the ice together as Paul Stanton goes back for the Penguins. Around to Phil Bourque. Intercepted by Larmer, went to center one, a hard pass for Grimson, and then he gets bumped. Stanton turns it up the boards, and that'll go all the way down the ice. An icing call to be made against the Pittsburgh Penguins with just over a little more than 2 minutes to play in the opening period.
Well, you can't intimidate Jaromir Jagr, but you might be able to wear him down if you take him out often enough and hard enough, and Brent Sutter just scraped him into the wall on that one.
Jarmer's got a lot on his mind here tonight. Guys are bumping him every time he gets to the puck. Probably thinking back to his trip with you yesterday. Do you have the radio on, Bill?
Yeah, he was playing a tape.
Some tunes?
He likes Metallica.
Oh, you're kidding.
Well, don't you?
Yeah, I do, yeah. Wherever I may roam is one of my favorites. I just figured that might be good driving music yesterday, too. The Blackhawks have dumped the puck in. Also out of the net, trying to move it up the boards. It's intercepted. Gilbert, a backhander, went wide. Greg Gilbert has been nursing a bad knee. Another shot. Blocking glove save by Barrasso. Here's Tocchet trying to get it out of the zone. Couldn't do it. Steve Smith unloads. That's deflected by Lemieux. Out comes Phil Bourque. Can't get through the crowd of Blackhawks. The Hawks fail to clear it in. Bourque picks it up again at center. Steps over the Chicago line with a shot. Grabbed and dropped off by Belfour. Penguins 1, Blackhawks nothing. A collision at the side of the Chicago goal with Bourque. Now he's flattened from behind, and there's a penalty. Ryan Noonan cross-checked Phil Bourque well back of the play, and another Pittsburgh power play is about to unfold at the Civic Arena.
Well, you have to have thick skin to be able to play this game, and you have to have even thicker skin to survive the finals. Ryan Noonan is off for cross-checking, and it was absolutely useless cross-check. Phil Bourque had done a nosedive to the side of the net. Eddie Belfour held him down. There's number 29 of the Penguins doing the nosedive. Now they let him up, but watch what Noonan does once he lets him up. Right in the small of the back, bingo. He hits him with Terry Gregson to the side, 15 feet away. You can't do that, and Mike Keenan knows that you can't do that.
This will be the third power play of the opening period for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Minute and 24 seconds left in the period. 1-0 Pittsburgh.
Phil Bourque is the kind of guy that will get under your skin, but you just have to have thick enough skin to not allow him to do it.
Jagr over on the right side. Francis in the middle. Mario Lemieux on the left. Kevin Stevens and Larry Murphy also out for Pittsburgh. This is Murphy. Played the pass to the left side to Lemieux. Pulled up, but Larmer was there to knock it loose. Ron Francis out at center ice. Trying to get it away from Larmer. Did. Mario Lemieux with a long pass. Larry Murphy looks for somebody to jump up on the play. Gave the puck to Stevens. Stevens centers, and it was tipped away from Lemieux. Francis held it. Got it right back from Lemieux. Into Mario. Back to Murphy. Long shot from the point. Blocked. Big rebound. Yager got a swipe at it, and now it's covered. Belfour getting some help as the defense clogged things up, and he was able to grab onto the puck.
I think that was even deflected on the way to Belfour, and I'm surprised Larry Murphy was able to get much on it. He took a big slash from Steve Smith as he came to the blue line, and he was doubled over in pain. He was able to get it together when the puck came to him. And it was a puck that was on edge. When he finally drilled it, it looked like it was deflected on the way to the net. Went Francis to Lemieux, and immediately, because there was a guy pinching on Lemieux, out to Larry Murphy. And if it didn't deflect, it was at least moving, because it was a puck that was on its side when he struck it. Jaromir Jagr tried to get the rebound. Eddie Belfour looked a little shaky even at the start of this game, Jakes, and you had to wonder what that Bob Airey goal would do to him, but he's settled down quite a bit. He's made a couple of real tough saves.
Yeah, he has. 46.7 seconds remaining in this first period. Steve Smith getting a new stick. Ron Francis and Brent Sutter on the faceoff. Lemieux covering the left point, Murphy the right. Linesman Ray Scapanello backs some people up. Francis protected the puck. Jagr went for it. Now Francis still battles Sutter, gets it loose. Murphy moves in off the blue line, but Dirk Graham got a stick on it, but didn't get it out. Jagr lost it, and Graham has a breakaway. The Blackhawks captain in on Barrasso, and it's turned aside.
You could tell as Dirk Graham was getting into shooting position that he knew the book on Tom Barrasso. Good chance he's going to go down, try to get it up high on him. I think Barrasso might have gotten a piece of it and deflected it over the glass, but there's a time and a place for everything. That's not the time, and as brilliant as Jaromir Jagr is, that's not the time or the place for a move like that. And once Graham went down, you bet that hit the shaft, it looks like, above Tom Barrasso's hand and went over the glass. Let's watch it. You can tell Graham wants to go high when he dips down. See how he dips down? Man, I'll tell you what, Tom Barrasso got a break on that one, because that hit the handle of his stick above his hand.
Lady Luck smiles on Tom Barrasso and avoids Dirk Graham. 27.8 seconds left in this period. Brent Sutter wins the draw. Chelios plays it around the boards. There's Larry Murphy. Pittsburgh, remember, is on a power play. The only goal of the game was shorthanded. Jagr with a pass. Lemieux gave it to Murphy off the stick of Stevens with that shot. Chelios trying to come out of the corner, stumbled a little, but the Blackhawks able to recover the puck. And the tight checking of Lemieux freed it for Jagr. To Lemieux and put it in front. It was up high in the air. Murphy gets to it at center, and that will get us to the buzzer to win this first period. 1-0. The Pittsburgh Penguins with a shorthanded goal have the lead. Let's join John Davidson.
Jakes, first of all, a very upset Jaromir Jagr as he walked off or skated off the ice here after giving the puck away for the shorthanded try by the Blackhawks. Couple of things to watch for. One is, I think during the third period of game one, Tom Barrasso got on the very top of his game. He had an exceptional warm-up, and he had a great first period. Another little thing that we've been able to watch is defensive zone face-offs. Brent Sutter for Chicago, Ron Francis for Pittsburgh. Brent Sutter's a right-handed centerman, something that Francis isn't very used to, but is getting used to as the series moves along. Guys?
Something that the fans here in Pittsburgh are used to, a lead for their team. The Penguins have a 1-0 lead over the Blackhawks as we come to the close of the opening period. Still 40 minutes. Don't go away.
Only one goal in the first period and a shorthander. Penguins have the lead after the first 20 minutes of game two. It was Bob Airey with one assist. Jim Pack, shorthanded goal at 9:52 of the first period. The Hawks had, I think, the better chances in the period, and they did have more shots on goal, 11-8. So that's where we stand after these first 20 minutes. And a guy who was out on the ice at the very end of that first period, Steve Smith, has joined us. Steve, I thought you had better scoring chances when you were shorthanded. You had one shorthanded stint at the end of the period and then that long 4-minute one earlier, but those look like some of your better shots.
Well, there's no doubt that our penalty killing is very aggressive. Dirk Graham, Steve Larmer, Brent Sutter, those guys are doing a great job of getting on top of them, forcing them to turn over the puck, and unfortunately, he didn't capitalize when he had the chance, Dirk, but he's certainly working hard and doing what he can to help our team out right now.
Over that first period, do you think that you had your game plan pretty well nailed?
Well, there was times when we gave up the puck in the neutral zone and around their blue line, and I think we're going to have to be a little bit smarter and make sure we get the puck in a little bit deeper. But overall, I felt we worked pretty hard and stuck to the system for the most part. And if we can continue, I think we'll, by the end of the game, have a certain amount of success.
Over the period of these playoffs, you and Chris Chelios in particular have been up against some of the best and most skillful players in the league. 2 series ago, you had Fedorov and Yzerman to deal with. Now Lemieux and Jágr. Do they present a special challenge to you, and in what way?
Well, there's no doubt that Mario is one of the best in the world with the puck, and he has to warrant some special treatment out there. We have to know where he's at all the time. Jágr is very similar in the way he shifts and moves around and gets himself into openings, and Mario gets him the puck. So we have to give them a little bit of special treatment, but we've got to work hard at that, and I think that's the most critical part with those two guys.
In terms of your ice time, because you are out there against some of the better guys of the other team, do you find yourself having more ice time now than you ever had in Edmonton?
Well, Chris and I are playing a fair amount right now. We're enjoying the ice time, and I don't think any player will ever complain about ice time, that's for certain. But we know we've got 10, 12 days left in the season, and we're out giving it every night. If it means we play 2 minutes or 60 minutes, we're going to be working hard every time we get out there.
We wish you the best. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Steve Smith has joined us here between periods. We want to take a look at the Air Canada scoring leaders through the playoffs thus far. You see that 4 of the top 6 are Pittsburgh Penguins, and keep in mind that Mario Lemieux's 13 goals have come in only 12 games for 29 points. Then Ron Francis, then Kevin Stevens, Joe Murphy from the ousted Oilers, Jaromir Jágr, and Jeremy Roenick, the leading scorer for the Chicago Blackhawks. Speaking of Jaromir Jágr, he went out with Bill Clement yesterday. Our Minute Master movie coming up after this. First period. Let's pause for this regional break. We hope you're enjoying our Stanley Cup Championship coverage on Sports Channel America. Pittsburgh has the lead in this one at the end of the first period by a count of 1-0. Yesterday afternoon, my old buddy Bill Clement was gone for a while. I didn't know exactly where he'd been, and he came back with a glowing report about his minute movie for tonight. Let's hear all about it.
Well, Mike, Mario Lemieux has pretty well owned this town for 6 years. I think now he's sharing the ownership papers with Jaromir Jágr. He gives off such a positive energy when you're around him. He was nice enough to let me hound him with a little camera yesterday. So our 1-minute movie for Game 2 is simply called Driving with Jaromir. You gotta like it. He takes the time to stop and talk to people.
That's good. That's nice sports.
That's what a real pro is all about, huh?
Pro is all about.
You bet. Well, 15 minutes later, we're still trying to make it to the car. I know we'll get there.
Where do you want to go?
Anywhere. Just show me some of Pittsburgh. I heard that your mom's coming to live with you next year.
Yeah, I want to. I will have a house in Pittsburgh. I need somebody who will cook for me. Who will take care about me.
You can't find any volunteers to cook for you?
I don't need it. I need a mom. 2 more years, and I will be free agent.
You say that with a smile. I guess you figured out what that free agent stuff means, huh?
It's great. Free agent is best.
Where are we here?
I don't know. In Pittsburgh.
Well, we're locked?
Pittsburgh National. I don't know. We just go some.
How fast will this thing go?
How fast? The car?
Yeah.
120. If I want.
Have you tried it?
Yeah, I tried a couple of times. But don't tell anybody.
Oh, hey, I won't tell a soul. Don't worry. Your secret's safe with me.
I know.
Safe at any speed, Jaromir Jágr. Safe at any speed, but not always easy to watch at fast speed. The following commercials. Sunset in Pittsburgh, where the Penguins have the lead 1-0 between periods 1 and 2. Bill Clement, what interests you about what you saw in that first period?
Well, particularly Bob Airey's play. The Penguins knew that they were getting a guy with a lot of versatility back in the lineup. He scored the only goal of the first period. We're going to look at it. It's our men in play of the first period. And Airey really makes things happen to start this thing off over by the boards. The Hawks are on a power play. He squeezes his man off. That forces him to hurry it. The puck is going to end up all the way over here, and it's an easy slam for Jim Pack out of the zone. Here comes the puck. And look at Pack. He's not looking for anybody. He's just trying to jam it out of the zone. And very often, we can stop right here and show you defensemen, and in this case, the two Hawks defensemen on the power play really don't feel threatened. But Bob Airey was over here. He got a great head of steam up and found this seam between the two Hawks defensemen and then took off. He lost it once, and then watch, he'll lose it again. Now we can stop here and show you that the puck is still way out in front of him. Both Hawks defensemen are trying to catch him. They can't. Eddie Belfour, I thought, played this one pretty well, but Bob Airey was a post better. So off the post for Bob Airey. The Hawks killed a lot of penalties and did it well in the first period. Penguins did it pretty well too, and on the strength of Bob Airey's shorthanded goal, after 20 minutes, the Penguins lead 1-0.
Teams lining up at center ice. Pittsburgh leads 1-0 at the start of the second period. It's brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. 36 seconds remaining in a cross-checking penalty against Brian Noonan of the Blackhawks. Referee Terry Gregson put the puck in play, and Chicago immediately puts it in the Pittsburgh zone. It came bouncing right off Larmer. Steve Larmer turns, shoots up and high. Ends up at the blue line. Brent Sutter set up Steve Smith, and he's dumped it in deep. There's Ulf Samuelsson in a giveaway, but Larmer is checked immediately by Stanton. Now Ulf Samuelsson with an outlet to Lemieux at center, crisscrossing with Yager. Lemieux to Yager, just out of his reach. Now Stanton from the blue line, tried to center it across and couldn't make it work. This is Steve Larmer. Dumps it in from center ice, and the penalty against Noonan expires. Teams at full and equal strength now. Pittsburgh up 1-0, and the Penguins have shot it down the ice. Icing waved off by the linesman. Chicago sending Kuchera back. He's given it to Chelios. Only carried across the line. Stefan Matteau slipped away from Bob Airey. Matteau trying to center it in front. Gordy Roberts playing the boards with a pass to Bob Airey. Airey brings 3 Penguins up through center ice. 3 Blackhawks back. Larry Murphy with a shot that deflected off Kuchera. Roberts has it again at center ice. Roberts to Ron Francis, met solidly by Kravchuk. And down the right wing boards goes Brian Noonan. Noonan trying to cut inside on Yager, got slowed up, and then Murphy stepped in front of him. Airey rubbed out by Matteau. Matteau makes the pass over Roenick's stick. Back to the blue line. Kuchera's shot is turned aside. Sean McEachran gets it out of the zone for Pittsburgh, and the Blackhawks shoot it right back in again. Picking it up is Murphy. Quickly, Hudson trying to get to him. Shot back in by Chicago, and that puts the play offside, striking the Blackhawks player, Michel Goulet, who had been trapped. Once again this season. Again tonight, between periods, John Davidson had a chance to talk to Barry Smith of the Penguins coaching staff.
Any concerns after the first period of play? You have the lead, but we're unable to sustain any offense.
It was very difficult to have all the guys on the ice, JD. We had penalty killing, and then we had power plays, and a lot of guys didn't get on, so there wasn't a lot of rhythm. There wasn't a lot of continuous play. And I think we play better when we have continuous play, get everybody involved. Our power play had a difficult time entering the zone, and we want to take care of that between periods. We can enter the zone and have puck possession, but we have to pick up the pace a bit. We're not playing well.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, the tempo. Do you want quicker tempo, much quicker?
Yeah, we'll pick it up. We're not playing as well as we can, and both teams are sort of like 2 heavyweight boxers, just sort of playing very cautious, but we want to play a little bit more high tempo game. Move the puck, get skating, get our guys going again.
Good luck, thanks.
Thanks, JD.
And that's easier said than done because of the way the Blackhawks clogged the neutral zone, because of their presence at their own blue line, and because of the Penguins' reluctance to dump and chase. Now they're doing it a bit. Even the Lemieux Tocchet line that are out there now have dumped it. If they want rhythm and tempo, they're going to have to mix their offense a little.
Dirk Graham has picked the puck into the Pittsburgh zone. Jim Pack able to move it toward Tocchet. He's cleared it out, and here's Chris Chelios. He and Smith together again on defense. The puck dumped in by Smith. That one just seemed to die like a seagull, went straight down and just sat there.
That's an ugly sight,
isn't it? Marchment up across the line. No, didn't make it. Now they dump it in, and it's dumped right back out by Loney.
See what happens when the Blackhawks decide that they're good enough to carry. I mean, the Penguins are able to stop them at their blue line as well.
Brent Sutter goes to the end boards. He and Shel Samuelsson in a battle for it. Troy Loney has his man pinned, and the puck as well. So we get a whistle here with still 17 minutes and 2 seconds remaining in the second period.
The problem with not dumping it in for Mike Keenan's team is twofold. First of all, they're playing away from their strength, which is skating, forechecking, hitting. The other thing is when the Pittsburgh Penguins turn the puck over and get it from you at their own blue line, you have to be ready for a counterattack that is second to none. Lemieux and Yager, Stevens, Tocchet, they'll get in behind your defenseman. So it's a double problem when Mike Keenan's guys don't dump it at the line if they don't have any speed. They've got to get it in deep.
Play stoppage a moment ago. Gordy Roberts went to the Pittsburgh dressing room. It appears to be a skate problem because Steve Lattin, the equipment manager, has just now gone to join him. And the athletic trainer, Skip Thayer, remains on the Pittsburgh bench. Jeremy Roenick held the puck at the line, has played it around the boards in the Pittsburgh zone. Ulf Samuelsson, long rink-wide pass over the line. Here is McEachran, drops it to Stevens, and a shot went wide. Francis forechecking, the puck came back to Samuelsson, and he had shot it in on the delayed offside. The Penguins don't seem to realize and now play it. And the delayed offside being called. Evan Stevens was set up neatly just a moment ago. Had 4 shots in the first period tonight, so he's better, it appears.
Yeah, he was far more assertive. He hasn't done anything physically as yet as far as hitting. But with 4 shots, that was good enough for the lead in the shot department. He shared it with Brent Sutter. Sutter had 4 for the Blackhawks. I think Kevin Stevens is going to be a very important guy for the Penguins when this series switches to Chicago Stadium. Smaller ice surface, crazy crowd. Fabulous building, but noisy. I think he's going to have to step it up physically.
Some times in the first period, Chris Chelios, who's going back for the puck here, played 12 minutes and 11 seconds. Steve Smith played 10 minutes and 11 seconds.
Yeah, simply because Smith doesn't get as much power play time as Chris Chelios. But you know, the big leader in ice time was Mario Lemieux, 12 minutes and 30 seconds, and he's a forward. Now, you don't want to take anything away from how hard it is to play defense, but for a forward to log that much ice time, and Lemieux had 32 minutes in the first game. That's a tremendous amount of ice.
Here's Yager chasing a loose puck. Chelios stepped in front of him. Mike Keenan suggested that Lemieux looked tired in the game. Maybe Scotty should rest him a little more. Friendly little jab in the papers today. If that's tired. Here's Bateau out of the zone with a pass. Jocelyn Lemieux has shot it in well wide of Tom Barrasso, and Shel Samuelsson is back. Gave it to Jim Pack. Long pass through Dirk Graham. Trottier moves up, couldn't get there in time, and now the puck goes out of play right into the Pittsburgh players' bench. The shorthanded goal by Bob Airy has Pittsburgh on top 1-0.
We have a little bit of controversy going on here in the what they call the igloo. During the first period, Eddie Belfour, the Chicago goaltender, complained about the strobe lights that are used by the photographers here to get clearer and more concise pictures as they take the photographs, while the NHL has powered down some of those strobe lights to adhere to Belfour's problems. Guys?
All right, JD. Yeah, when those go off, you think that your television set at home, I'm sure, has just gone out on you.
And you can't imagine how keen the focus is, the visual focus of a goaltender. So many things are picked up because they're just tuned into everything visually, and something like that would throw a guy off.
Frank Kuchera just leveled Rick Tocchet, took him into the goal, knocking it off, and we get a play stoppage. As you've heard, the series moves to Chicago for games on Saturday and Monday, and we'll be with you from Chicago Stadium, 8:30 Eastern Time. It'll be nice to get to a community that has newspapers.
You'll see Tocchet coming into the picture on the left as Kuchera kind of tripped him up on the way to it. And lucky for the marsh pegs.
Yeah.
Gentleman in British Columbia invented them. He won't tell anybody what they're made of, but they're a flexible pin, almost like a bendable plastic that sits in there. So there is some give to them. You can hit them, the net will give a little bit, and very often it will pop back, unlike the magnets. Once you knock them, they were off before, but it's a nice change.
Now the face-off to the right of the Chicago goal. Brent Sutter beaten by Ron Francis on the draw. Ulf Samuelsson shot went off a man. Kevin Stevens as he cut in front. Here's Murphy at the right point. Steps in about 3 strides and shot it right into the chest protector of Ed Belfour. Things had opened up. But Belfour took all the angle away and made the save. And Gordy Roberts returns now from the Pittsburgh dressing room. Again, I feel it was just a skate problem. The only reason I mentioned the newspaper strike here, or at least the Teamsters strike, the men who deliver the papers to the carriers, I missed the horoscope. I don't know if I'm supposed to be feeling this good or not. What? You don't check that every day?
Listen, it's a pleasant change. We like you the way you are tonight.
And you would improved, yeah. Francis in the middle, McEachran on the right, Stevens on the left for Pittsburgh. Brent Sutter to take the draw. For Chicago, here's Michel Goulet. And Dirk Graham is his line mates. And now Brent Sutter is being ushered out of the face-off circle by Swede Knox. And Michel Goulet will take the draw.
What's your sign?
Same as yours, my boy Sage. Half horse, half. Anyway, Dirk Graham clears it toward center ice. Blackhawks can't get across that line. Now Smith drives the puck in deep. Evan Stevens trying to move it out. Finds a little bit of help. And then got right back on the puck himself. 4 Penguins move up, but they can't get around the Chicago defense on that effort. This is Smith. To Graham. Dirk Graham to Brent Sutter. Sutter moving around behind the net. Marty Roberts to Stevens. His pass ends up on the stick of Francis, then knocked away from him. Dirk Graham can't turn it in deeper, and Larry Murphy moves it to Francis. Francis driving on Steve Smith, trying to go inside, then outside, and the puck slipped away. Steve Smith got bumped, but is able to recover. Former Edmonton Oiler is over center ice, across the Pittsburgh line. Smith trying to go around Stanton, and the puck knocked off his stick. Stanton, Wolf Samuelsson, and back come the Penguins with a lead pass to Tocchet. Tocchet crisscrossing with Lemieux. They fed it to Bourque on the left side. Phil Bourque centers off Tocchet's skates and right back in to Eddie Belfour, who is sitting on the deck and holds the puck. 1-0 Pittsburgh as we pause for a regional break. And a look at Phil Esposito. We've got a big second intermission as you watch the playoffs on Sports Channel America. I mentioned the second intermission, and you'll see Phil Esposito again. There is the coin that will be tossed to determine which team has the first selection in both the entry draft, and then tossed a second time to determine who has the player or the first choice in the expansion draft. Actually, the expansion draft is first, and then I think we'll toss it a second time to decide who gets the first player in the expansion draft. And a team could win twice, or it could be split. We'll find out. Toss the coin in the second intermission tonight. Representatives from Ottawa here, and you saw Phil Esposito of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And that was a neat coin, specially minted with both logos.
Balanced perfectly,
yeah,
so that there wouldn't be an edge. Well, this baby's heating up, but it's kind of interesting that a lot of the physical stuff is taking place in the Chicago zone and not in the Pittsburgh zone. There's Espo.
Broke in as a Chicago Blackhawk. Did that man tan off? Well, Phil looks tanned.
He's not going to get the Stanley either.
No, he's not going to get Mario Lemieux, and he's not going to get Yager, and he's not going to get... Well, we'll have to find out, won't we? Around the middle of next month. I don't imagine Rick Tocchet will be available either. Won't be too much time before the availability lists are becoming public.
And it's 14 skaters and 2 goalies that each organization can protect, with some exceptions depending on who lost what in the last draft.
Right from the draw, Murphy powers one that got through, and Ed Belfour has that.
Well, the reason I mentioned that it's unusual that the pushing and shoving and the rough stuff seems to be going on in the Chicago zone, simply because that's what Chicago thrives on in their forecheck once the play is stopped. We'll pick this play up from the faceoff. Mario Lemieux doesn't take many draws for the Penguins, but he got that one back to Larry Murphy. You can see both Rick Tocchet on the right and Phil Bourque, number 29, going for the rebound. Pretty good screening out by Eddie Belfour's defenseman. But Chicago has not been forechecking in this period. They have tried to carry over the blue line, and I think they've played away from their strength. They haven't been able to penetrate and put that long pressure on the forecheck on Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh had won the draw again, but now Chicago has moved the puck down the ice, and Stanton back to knock it away from Goulet to Tocchet. Can't find Lemieux with that pass. Wolf Samuelsson sends Phil Bourque down the left side. Bourque driving on Chelios, feeds it across to Mario Lemieux to Stanton. Couldn't get his shot through Chelios. And now Steve Larmer goes to the right side, and Roenick is rubbed out. Jeremy Roenick pawed at Wolf Samuelsson. Maybe not a wise move. Here's Chelios with a pass, picked off and cleared out. Up ahead is Lemieux. Mario drives on Belfour, poke check, and a big gamble, and Belfour is successful.
He might be the only guy I've ever seen try that and make it work, because Mario has his head up. Maybe Kuchera coming up behind him threw Mario Lemieux off, but he didn't see Belfour coming out. Excellent timing by Eddie Belfour.
The man who sprung the play to begin with was Rick Tocchet. What a nice pass. Here's Bob Airy. He has the only goal of the game. Kravchuk ties him up in the corner, and the Grim Reaper, Stu Grimson, plays it down the right side. Roberts back. He's able to clear it out of the zone. Now the Hawks shoot it back in on an offside. Still 12 minutes and 45 seconds left in this second period at Pittsburgh. Big save by Ed Belfour on that breakaway from Mario Lemieux.
And you don't think Rick Tocchet hasn't gotten out of the Pittsburgh system? He got that puck and just wheeled it up to Mario Lemieux. Kuchera was about to dive, and gosh, it almost looked like Lemieux didn't expect Belfour to come out, but Eddie Belfour's timing had to be perfect, and it was. Rick Tocchet spun around. He just wanted to get it over the center dot because he sensed that that's where Lemieux was. Kuchera is getting ready to do the dive. Lemieux looks like he has his head up. You saw what Belfour did. He put his stick on one side. He threw his legs out to the other side to try and guard against Lemieux going to his backhand.
Now the puck has been dumped in. Icing called this time against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Will return to the Civic Arena right after this. A year ago, that lady's husband, Bob Johnson, took the Penguins to the Stanley Cup. His wife, Martha, here tonight, dressed in the Pittsburgh yellow and black, and across the ice surface just outside each blue line. Bob's favorite saying, "Hey boys, it's a great day for hockey." Today was just a spectacular day in Pittsburgh and another great day for hockey. There'll be more to come as the series shifts to Chicago Saturday night. Peluso held it in, and the Penguins move it out. Pittsburgh leads this game by a score of 1-0. Roy Loney is shot it wide of Belfour's cage. Eddie the Eagle out to play it around the boards. It jumped over Shell Samuelson's stick as he tried to cover the right point, and Pack hustles in. Goes up the left side off the skates of Loney. There's Chelios. Didn't get it to a teammate. Shell Samuelson does, and Brian Trottier turns back at the line as Loney moved up ahead of him. 1-0 Pittsburgh. Shell Samuelson dumps it across the line. Chelios gets it out, and down the ice it goes. Barrasso will play it. Don Barrasso changing hands on the stick, then moves it to the left side.
He wanted to go for the one-hand chop.
Shell Samuelson finally gets it out of the zone. Yager is bumped by Larmer. Yager now on a player change. Penguins sending out McEachran to join Trottier. This is Roenick. Can't dance around Jim Pack. What an improved defenseman in the past year. Number 2, Jimmy Pack.
He had to drag his stick behind him. He went down for the block because Roenick was showing shot on that play, and as Roenick tried to deke him, it was Jim Pack's stick that got the puck.
Now the Penguins in for checking, but the Blackhawks, Steve Smith, comes away with it. He and Chelios together. Francis, McEachran, and Stevens now for Pittsburgh. Up front, Brent Sutter as Grimson and Graham as his line mates. This is Dirk Graham. Kuchera from the point. The shot knocked down in front. It was there for the Blackhawks on the rebound, and they failed to pick it up. Kevin Stevens gets rubbed out at center as Kuchera stepped into him, and Stevens is grabbing at his face as the Blackhawks play the puck out of the zone. Stevens right back into the action now.
Boy, not only did Kuchera take Kevin Stevens out of the play when he didn't have the puck, so he was leaving himself open for an interference call, but he got him in the nose with his stick.
3-on-3 as they come through center ice. Brent Sutter across the line. The puck knocked off his stick by Larry Murphy, and quickly Barrasso has gotten it out of the zone. Francis to Tocchet. Tocchet didn't have anybody to give it to, and Graham coming back turns it over. Don Francis dumps it in. Bill Bork gets the play back on side, and here's Graham behind the Chicago net. One goal, all we've had through half of Game 2 of the 1992 Stanley Cup Championship Game 2 here. Held it on the boards. It was Greg Gilbert of Chicago, and away with it is Phil Bork. The pass to Lemieux, and look at the way Marchment came back to check him. Now Lemieux trying to center it again. It's knocked away. Tocchet gets to the puck. Set up Roberts at the line. His pass blocked by Gilbert. Greg Gilbert upended at center. Play goes on. Driving in with it is Brian Noonan. He's knocked to the ice, and they score! The Blackhawks on a broken play tie it up.
Really a broken play. But they made it work, and the guy that gets the goal here, I think, is Brian Marchment, a defenseman who was right up on the play, trying to help out. there was a takedown by the Penguins. Terry Gregson was 3 zones behind the play, so he couldn't see it. There's the takedown on Greg Gilbert, but you could see that Brian Noonan followed up. Gordy Roberts made a mistake of stopping and trying to lunge at him, and Noonan was trying to scrape away at it. Marchman just kept coming and coming from his defense position and was able to get his stick on it under Tom Barrasso. And the Hawks, typical Chicago Blackhawks goal, other than Jeremy Roenick and Steve Larmer, hard-working, getting a little bit from everybody.
Only their second shot on goal in this period. It comes at the 10:24 mark. There's your goal scorer, former Winnipeg Jet. Brian Marchman is first of the playoffs.
That's been the story for the Hawks. Roenick and Larmer and Chelios have led them, but they have gotten contributing goals from so many different players on their lineup, and it's Brian Marchman's turn now with his first.
Assist to Noonan and Gilbert. The Penguins right back in, and Stanton shot one. Now Yager tries to slip it through to Trottier. Ryan Trottier battling for control of the puck. Got checked by Steve Smith. Yager takes it, comes out in front, can't get a shot on. And the Blackhawks end up shooting it high, out of play at the Pittsburgh bench. So the clock is stopped with 9 minutes and 2 seconds left in the second period, and the game even at a goal apiece.
What a big shift it was for Brian Marchman. That's him in the middle of the circle. Good takedown on Lemieux, legal. He got in front of him, got position. Eddie Belfour had to make a sliding save because there was traffic around him. And the play, after it was in deep in the Hawk zone, gets out because Greg Gilbert cut the play. You can't even see Marchman in the picture. When Greg Gilbert was taken down, here comes Noonan, and we'll stop it right here and show you Marchman. He is cruising across the blue line and he decides just to go all the way. He's got enough people behind him. Great decision he made. And he took Larry Murphy's body and just shoved him out of the way. That's when a defenseman has to dig in. I mean, you can't allow yourself as a defensive guy in front to be pushed off the puck by an offensive guy. Larry Murphy was out-muscled by the man you're looking at, Brian Marchman.
Marchman at the Chicago bench, seated between Chelios and Roenick. Now the face-off to take place just outside the Chicago blue line will be between Mario Lemieux and Brent Sutter. Sutter turns on Lemieux. Can't get the puck through center ice, and Jim Pack hammers it around the board. Sutter here on the left side, clears it out for the Chicago Blackhawks. Jim Pack in to recover. Got it to the line. Goulet pinching there. Trying to shove Shell Samuelson to the boards. The puck went back in the net. Back up the right side. Samuelson bumped again. Yager spins it out through center. Lemieux gave chase. Kravchuk got back. Now at center ice, it's Shell Samuelson. To Jim Pack. Back into Samuelson. Samuelson, a long pass for Stevens. Didn't make contact with it as Kuchera does. An icing call is made against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Now it's a tough situation for Tom Barrasso to find himself in. He's got 2 defensemen back there helping him. And look where he is now. That's his usual position. He's right out at the crease, at the top of the crease. But as the play moves in, Larry Murphy gets pushed back into him. He had 2 defensemen back there to help him, so he didn't even have enough room to come out and cut down any kind of angle. So too much traffic, and a good play by Brian Marchman.
Interesting note, isn't it? 5th highest overall. John Davidson, who's on our broadcast team for 1992 Stanley Cup Finals, also very highly regarded back then and still today.
He's much better now than he was then. I shouldn't say that. No, that's not true.
Well,
but most, everybody I'm sure in North America that has started watching hockey in the last few years knows John Davidson from the New York Rangers, but he put in a few good seasons with the St. Louis Blues before he got to New York.
Yeah, there are a couple of years. Out of Calgary, the Centennials team, 1972.
And he was just as big then.
Is it only 20 years ago? My, how time flies.
And the hairline and so many things.
Well, I know what it's like to go in on a goalie that's as big as JD. It's tough. Tom Barrasso 6'3". Eddie Belfour is not as big. Here comes a penalty from Terry Gregson.
Pittsburgh complaining to the referee, but to no avail. This game is tied at a goal each.
Brian Marchman's getting a lot of exposure right about now. He just moments ago tied this game at 1-1, and now he has picked up an elbowing penalty. The elbow was thrown right in front of the Pittsburgh Penguins bench. Terry Gregson was on the far side of the ice, but he was able to see it. Marchman was just holding his ground, and as Paul Stanton came up, more of a shot to the face with the glove. It almost looked like Stanton retaliated.
So the Penguins on the power play. The Shark Fins are out for the 4th time tonight. Penguins with a shorthanded goal. The Chicago goal was while teams were at full strength. The Blackhawks, killing it off, have dumped it down the ice. Larmer went in after it rather quickly. Brent Sutter jumps up to forecheck. Tocchet's pass doesn't get to Stevens. And they'll reorganize inside the Pittsburgh blue line. Oh, that almost slipped away from Murphy behind Barrasso. But Murphy has it safely on the stick. Larmer got trapped back of the play. Murphy, not a good pass. Stevens not anticipating, and it's shot down the ice. 30 seconds has ticked off in the man advantage for the Penguins. Big Mario Lemieux has the puck now. Lemieux to Tocchet. He's over the line with Stevens as well. The pass to Stevens was off the boards. Steve Smith gets pushed off the puck. Tocchet centers. Lemieux scores!
Finally, the Penguins are able to execute on the power play. 2 men on the puck in the corner, only 1 Blackhawk in there. Rick Tocchet was able to get it out to Mario Lemieux. And you talk about perfect execution. Does number 66 ever snap this one up quickly? He doesn't stop it. He zings it up just inside the post. Belfour was completely handcuffed on it. And Belfour was in good position. This is not a bad goal by any stretch. Believe it or not, as much power play time as the Penguins have had, that was only their 3rd shot on goal during the power play in this hockey game, and we've played over half the game.
Man. Now Brian Trottier brings the Penguins down the boards. Number 19 gets rubbed up. Recovers the puck. Yager onto it. He gets checked, and Brian Marchment, who was in the box when that power play goal is scored, can't get the puck in deep enough for the Hawks to create anything. Then Yager is pushed to the ice, and the puck goes back of the net. Back goes to the boards. There's Peluso. He puts it behind the goal again. Jaromir Jagr with Bateau right on him. The puck centered but cleared by Kjell Samuelsson. Marchment with it at the blue line. In deeper. It's Jocelyn Lemieux. Jim Pack was there, but Lemieux got away from him. Puts the puck behind Barrasso's net. Before checking of Greg Gilbert. Samuelsson knocked him down. Kjell Samuelsson up with the puck. Gilbert right on him. Samuelsson made the pass to Trottier. And he's dumped it into the Chicago zone. The Penguins in the middle of a change now. 6 minutes remaining in the second period. It's Pittsburgh 2, Chicago 1. Ulf Samuelsson gives it to Brian Trottier, who dumps it in. Chelios taking it from Belfour. Now the cross ice from Brian Noonan has gone to Greg Gilbert. The former New York Islander can't play it through center ice. Back into his own zone. Steve Smith to Chris Chelios. Up here to Hudson, over his stick, and it's recovered at the Pittsburgh line by Stanton. Stanton's pass right there for McEachran in his low shot. Handled and covered by Belfour. The Hawks would like to make a player change, and they're going to get that opportunity. Still 5.5 minutes left in the second period.
Finally, a power play goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Scotty Bowman's guys. This pass went for Stevens on the first arrow. He missed it, and it went into the corner. Now Steve Smith gets it. But for once, the Penguins were able to outnumber. If we stop here, you see 2 Penguins in the corner before a Hawk could get there to support Smith. A tiny seam. That's not much space between these 2 guys. But Tocchet found it, and Lemieux executed.
Did he ever? And right from the face-off here, Lemieux in on the draw. As you see Francis congratulating him. Mary Lemieux just beat the Blackhawks centerman and went right to the net with the shot.
And you, against a good center, you'll get one chance to do this again, because he will be ready for it after that the entire time. And that was Larmer, who is not a regular center. But once you do it once, you've pretty well used that one up from your bag of tricks if you're playing against smart centers, and these guys are pretty sharp.
Immediately, Mike Keenan made a line change, sending Brent Sutter up. Sutter charged with the face-off here against Ron Francis. Lemieux has gone back to the Pittsburgh bench. Francis with Stevens and McEachran. Evan Stevens reaches for the puck. Shot bumped, and Belfour moves it around to Dirk Graham, up off the boards, held in. Roberts with a shot that changed direction, came loose in front, and quickly the Blackhawks able to move it out. Ryan Marchment can't get it to center in time, however. This is Kevin Stevens, a long shot from the point. See where Barrasso is? He's got the puck pulled in and held for a faceoff. Here's John Davidson.
Thanks, Jigs. I've got Barry Bonds, star outfielder of the Pittsburgh Pirates. What are you doing at a hockey game?
I enjoy hockey. I got quite a few friends out here, and even Tony Herkes, who hasn't playing for Chicago's even out here, so it's a pleasure for me.
What do you think of the sport overall, coming to see it live? How exciting do you think it is?
It's very exciting, but I'm more happy about the way the Penguins are playing, and they got to shut up the Pittsburgh press. I love it.
You went downstairs and you were in the studio, and I hear you didn't like it down there. You didn't like watching in the studio. You decided to see it live.
No, because I'm still learning the game and all the rules and stuff, so I enjoy it, you know, and I hope it becomes a real big major sport like baseball and football and basketball is.
All right, we appreciate that. Jigs, Billy, he should listen to you guys. He'll learn about it. Thanks very much. Good luck.
Yeah, we've got tapes available. The 900. No, we don't. Just kidding.
I do.
That's right. Well, that's another subject. Offside is the call here against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Now you get to this stage of the hockey season, and people from all walks of life and stars from other sports, they're all interested. Competition at this level is appealing to everybody.
Oh, yeah. Nice to see Barry out here, and a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I know, are Penguin fans as well, and the reverse is true, and the same in Chicago, because Jeremy Roenick has been talking about all the support they've been getting from the Bulls, and in particular Michael Jordan.
Yep. You know, the other night, on Tuesday night, there was a Genesis concert at Three River Stadium here. Over 30,000 people at that concert, and Phil Collins announced that Jaromir Jagr had tied the score. The building just about came down, and it came even closer to falling apart when he announced a little later that Mario Lemieux had won the game for the Penguins.
All right.
When you've got Phil Collins announcing the score for you, you know you're a big game in town.
Yes, sir. Here's Tocchet to, they score! Mario!
The Tocchet-Lemieux combination strikes again. Rick Tocchet was able to squeeze by his man, and Mario Lemieux just let this one go. Eddie Belfour doesn't show you much in the five-hole between his legs and through his pads, but Mario Lemieux was able to shoot it right there. So Tocchet with good work, passing to Lemieux again, and the Penguins have opened up a 3-1 lead.
Now just a little more than 4 minutes to play in the second period at Pittsburgh. 2 more for Mario tonight. He's hit solidly at center ice, and the Blackhawks are up with the puck. Jocelyn Lemieux runs into Pack. Pack right back on Lemieux, stepping into him, and the puck comes to center. Chelios waits, now shoots it in. The Blackhawks get the play onside again. Shel Samuelson looks up ice. The pass off McEachran skates. Kevin Stevens couldn't gather it in, and now across the line they come. This is Hudson. He's taken out on the boards, and the Penguins clear the zone. It'll go all the way down into the Chicago end. Got to the goal line, and over it is called back for icing. We have under 4 minutes remaining in the second period.
Big 66 has taken control of this one. 2 quick goals. The Penguins lead 3-1. Lemieux right now is sizing up the seam. Where does he have to move to try and get open? And he stayed exactly in between the defensemen. It was Marchment and Kuchera. Once he got the puck, he picked it up so far behind him that I'm not sure he was able to take a look at where he was shooting. He just wheeled around and shot.
Sitting with several members of the Blackhawk coaching staff at practice this morning, they were asking, where's Lemieux? The guy never practices, not even the morning of the game or the day between games. He's here, he's in the trainer's room, but he comes out and gets 2 like that. His 14th and 15th of the playoffs. And quickly, it's 3-1 Pittsburgh.
And Rick Tocchet is doing what he has to do when he plays on the Lemieux line. I think there's a tendency sometimes to try to play like Mario and to stand around sometimes and wait for the puck to come to you, but Mario needs a feeder. And Rick Tocchet on both goals made it happen. He squeezed by his guy on the boards on the second one, and he supported Kevin Stevens in the corner on the first one that Lemieux got, the power play goal. That's when Rick Tocchet is at his best, when he's aggressive on the puck.
It's an art to be able to shoot off the pass. So many players do it and do it successfully, but Not very many as quickly and as accurately as Mario Lemieux. And Ron Francis squares to take the face-off for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Jocelyn Lemieux won the draw, but the puck came outside the line before Kravchuk could pick it up, and he shoots it back in. Barrasso had to go off his stick. Here's Jimmy Pack. He gets bumped on the boards. Now the whistle sounds. Pushing and shoving. Things settle down. Clock shows 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the period. We're going to bring the puck outside the blue line for a face-off. Have you spotted anything here, Bill?
Well, we understand that Jeremy Roenick's been getting his right thumb checked over on the bench. Haven't seen a lot of him the last few minutes. It almost looks like he's trying his grip on his stick there, and there was a bit of a grimace that went along with it. But bad hand or not, I expect to see Jeremy Roenick a lot, unless he is seriously injured. Now that the Chicago Blackhawks are down 3-1, you got to know that Mike Keenan has to play him.
Oh, yeah. McEachran pokes the puck back into the center ice zone. Back, battling Matteau for it. Stefan Matteau. Frank Kuchera, who shot it in well wide of the net. Here's Pack. Steps behind the net, plays it up the boards. Kuchera squeezing in on McEachran, and it stays deep in the Pittsburgh zone. Now Francis moves it up, and McEachran finishes it off, shooting it down the ice. Belford goes to the right side. Buskus got it inside the line. It's underneath defenseman Jim Pack to play offside as well. The series will move to the Chicago Stadium. Games 3 and 4 will be with you for Game 3 Saturday night at 8:30 Eastern Time. The Blackhawks haven't been home since the 18th of May, and we'll be there. You'll see it right here on Sports Channel America. When you think back, Chicago, after that sweep of Detroit, had a couple of home games with Edmonton, and like I said, the last was the 18th of May. Then they went to Edmonton and win 2. They come into Pittsburgh, lose the first one in the last seconds of the game, and now they're down 3-1 here in the second period. Their mettle is being tested by these Penguins.
Well, I personally am watching for Jeremy Roenick. I haven't noticed him much at all in the last 8 to 10 minutes. But you would think if he were seriously injured that they would be taking care of his thumb. Somebody else would be looking at it, but he seems to be just sitting there on the bench.
See the shake of the head? Chris Chelios is one upset hockey player. He's only played a little more than 2 minutes in the second half of this period. Mike Keenan telling us this morning the story that Bill related, how upset he was after Bork's power play goal, and he'd been taken off the ice. He'd been out killing a penalty a minute and a half. Mike Keenan felt he needed a rest. Now the puck. Where did it go? The old disappearing puck trick. Everybody looking around. Puck came up and out of play. It's there at the Chicago bench where they are gathered.
Well, that was Greg Gilbert. Watch Chris Chelios as this play comes towards him. Paul Stanton and Greg Gilbert. Look at that. Speak into the mic. Speak right into the mic. You see him? It looked like he was jabbing Paul Stanton in the face with his stick. Well, he'd do that on a night when he isn't wound up, but I don't think Chris Chelios is real happy about the ice time he's received, and he'll let the world know about it. He's a great competitor. He wants to be on the ice. He'd like to play, I think, 60 minutes. And he's not afraid to show it. It doesn't matter if it's the Stanley Cup Finals, whatever. He wants to play.
Those who have played with him when he was with the Montreal Canadiens have picked the Blackhawks to win this series just because of the guy they call Chelly. He is a winner through and through. Think back to that trade and all the controversy when Chicago sent their favorite, the fans' favorite at least, Denny Savard to Montreal for who? Chris Chelios.
You bet. Now, the one aspect of that deal that Chicago could rely on was the fact that they had a guy to replace Denny Savard, and his name is Jeremy Roenick. So they got an outstanding defenseman, one of the best in hockey, and they're able to fill Savard's hole. So that's why they felt they were able to make that deal.
Again, here the puck goes out of play at the Chicago bench. Mike Keenan has a forward line on the ice that is made up of Jocelyn Lemieux, Greg Gilbert, and Brian Noonan.
Here's another look at Greg Gilbert roughing up Paul Stanton. Now see the stick in Stanton's face?
Tap, tap, tap.
Unsafe at any speed.
Troy Loney moves the puck out for Pittsburgh. Brian Trottier dropped it back in. Got it on the return from Roberts. Yager comes down the left side. Is it his turn? Yager turns on the play, drops it to Murphy. Murphy up the slot, and the shot is grabbed and held. Belfort has it in the catching glove. A minute and 49 seconds to the end of the period, and a big second intermission coming up. NHL hockey history to determine the draft order. The coin, a special coin. Tampa Bay's logo on one side, the Ottawa Senators on the other. President John Ziegler will conduct the coin toss. Bruce Firestone, we're told, will represent the Ottawa Senators, and Phil Esposito, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Going to be tossed twice, once to determine the order for the expansion draft, once for the entry draft of the amateurs or the 18-year-old draft or whatever you want to call it. It's where teams hope to get healthy and get a good young prospect.
There isn't a clear-cut first pick this year, and I think it would almost be a greater advantage to end up with first pick in the expansion draft. For one thing, if you pick first in the amateur draft and pick a kid that doesn't really pan out, you're going to take some heat in your city, and if there's not that great a difference between the first and the second pick, you might be able to keep the heat off a little bit if you get the second pick. It's going to be a long year for both of those teams. They know it.
Yes. Well, that lies ahead as part of our second intermission tonight. Penguins with a 3-1 lead over the Chicago Blackhawks. Mario Lemieux on the draw. It's won by Jocelyn Lemieux of Chicago. Buskers getting a lot more ice time. He's coupled up here with Marchment. It's the Chicago defense pairing, and the puck has been dumped down the ice. Larry Murphy back in to recover. Went to Roberts. Tried a long outlet for Lemieux. Didn't get it to him. The Blackhawks had it and then lost it. And Busquets goes to the right wing boards. Busquets started the season with the Los Angeles Kings. And now Jocelyn Lemieux dumps it in. Battle for it over in the far wing. The toe gets double teamed. And Mario Lemieux gets to the puck. He's cleared it out. This is Igor Kravchuk to Noonan, or Hudson, excuse me. He's over the line again. Hudson and the toe, and he puts it in the corner. Roberts up to Kevin Stevens. He'll flip it out of the zone, and the Blackhawks will chase it. L4 out to slow it up. Shera rounds the net. Bill Bork right on him. Bork tries the other side. Didn't work. Now Hudson dumps it in. That rolls up and off the back of the Pittsburgh goal. Stanton around to Bob Airy. Airy met by a solid check and is pulled over backwards, and the Penguins are able to clear the puck out. Pittsburgh has had 11 shots on goal in the second period and have scored twice. 3-1 Pittsburgh as the Blackhawks come to center. Here's Mike Peluso. Peluso and Samuelson on a big hit. Two big boys. Now here on the left side of the ice, the Hawks move in offside. So the play whistled down, and we have just a little more than 16 seconds remaining in the second period. Again tonight, the off-ice officials are from Landover, Maryland. The men who handle the Washington Capitals games, and Mike Keenan handling his team.
Boy, I'll tell you something. Ulf Samuelsson doesn't pick his spots. He doesn't care who you are. Mike Peluso, the guy that led the NHL in fights with 36 this season. And Samuelsson just drilled him into the boards. And Terry Gregson has called a penalty against the Chicago Blackhawks for too many men on the ice.
Well, that came late in the period.
Let's see if we can figure it out here. You got two Hawks over in this area. You got a third one right there, fourth one, fifth one here. Does anybody else come into the picture? You bet. There's the sixth one right there.
So the Penguins back on the power play. The fifth chance of the game, and Lemieux right at the close of the period tried to set up Tocchet. Tocchet spins it out in front, but into the skates of Steve Smith to Chelios, and his long shot at the buzzer is grabbed by Barrasso and held. Pittsburgh outscores Chicago 2-1, and they head for the dressing room, and we join John Davidson.
Jigs, this is a period where the Blackhawks only had 4 shots on goal, limited offense. Coaches will tell you when your best player plays well, you have a chance of winning. Mario Lemieux proved that. On the other side for Chicago, their best players didn't play much at all. Jigs?
All right, JD, there's still 20 minutes of hockey to look forward to. And there's also, coming up in our second intermission, the coin toss, and we'll see who gets to pick first in the expansion draft and the entry draft. Back to Pittsburgh in a moment.
Have been played. Pittsburgh ahead in the series 1-0, and in this game 3-1. Little slither job by Bob Airy that caught the inside of the left post and bounced in. Jim Pack assisted at 9:52. End of the first period scoring. In the second, Brian Marchment, his first ever playoff point. At 10:24, Brian Noonan assisted. And then it was a deadly combination. Tocchet to Lemieux twice. The first time on the power play at 7:05, and the second time even strength at 15:23. Chicago had the better chances and the shot advantage in the first, but boy, was it ever reversed in the second. So the shot totals now are 19-15. An important time in NHL history. In the fall, we'll have 23 and then 24 teams. 2 more join the National Hockey League for the next season. And an important step being taken tonight toward their joining the league. You're going to see these newest branches, the Ottawa Senators and the Tampa Bay Lightning, take the step toward next season. NHL President John Ziegler will preside over 2 coin tosses to determine order of selection for the expansion draft June 18th and the entry draft June 20th. Special coin has been minted, Tampa Bay on one side, Ottawa on the other.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very historic moment in the National Hockey League. Ottawa and Tampa are here with a coin flip to decide first who's going to have the first option in the expansion draft, and then after that, who'll have the first selection in the entry draft. Phil, Bruce, are you ready?
We are.
All right, here's the first flip of the coin. And it is the Ottawa Senators.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Bruce. Thank you, Phil.
And now for the entry drafts. It is Tampa Bay Lightning. Right. Congratulations.
That's great.
Congratulations, Phil.
Thank you, guys.
Well done. Very good.
Super.
The coin goes to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and in 3 months, the Lightning and the Senators will go to training camp. Let's pause for this regional break. If you're just joining us, Pittsburgh has the lead in this game over the Chicago Blackhawks after 2 by a count of 3-1. The next goal stacks up as a big one. Chicago's down in this. Let's check in with John Davidson and assistant coach Rich Preston.
Rich, during the second half of the second period, Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick didn't see very much ice. Was that a coach's decision, or is there an injury problem, or what?
No, coach's decision, JD. He just wanted to sit him down and rest him for a while. They're fine.
Now, will you change in the third period with your system of play since you're down by 2 goals? In other words, try and make it a wide open game, or would that, do you think, bear fruits?
No, we can't with that team. They got too much talent. We really didn't play that second period like we should. We didn't get in their end. We didn't create scoring chances with our forechecking game. We got to do that in the third.
Will your big guys see more ice in the third?
I think so. Yeah.
Thanks.
The Hawks not happy with what's happened thus far. There have been some big plays in this game, and Bill Clement upstairs has picked one out to analyze for us.
Well, the big guy put together 2 tremendous goals in the second period. We're going to look at Mario Lemieux's second goal. It's our men in play of the second period, and the Penguins show that their counterattack is dangerous. We pick it up with 3 Hawks forwards out here. They didn't get the puck in deep. What does Kjell Samuelsson do? He gets it by them. He just wants to get it up ice, and he's got people there to get it to. Rick Tocchet is one of them, and if we stop here, we'll show you that he beats Brian Marchment. Here comes Mario Lemieux. What he wants to do is find the hole, find the seam. So with Tocchet in control, we'll stop right here and show you Lemieux absolutely in between these 3 guys. At one point, he was smack dab in the middle of a triangle, and he simply makes no mistake when you give him that much room. So he was able to get the shot away, and Mike, you've seen it before in Wayne Gretzky. When you combine skill and creativity, what do you get? You get genius on the ice, and Mario Lemieux was fantastic in the second period.
Oh, was he ever. 66 had 2 in that period. His team has 3 in the game, and they have the lead by a count of 3-1. The 2 Chiefs of the 2 newest teams in the NHL coming up next, but right now let's pause for this regional break. Game 2, and Pittsburgh's ahead by a score of 3-1. It's a best 4 of 7. Game 3, 2 nights from now at the noisy Chicago Stadium on Madison Street, 8:30 Eastern on Sports Channel America. Take a look at the rest of the schedule for the Stanley Cup Finals. Game 4 Monday in Chicago. If necessary, Game 5 Wednesday in Pittsburgh. If necessary, Game 6, and this has been changed from Friday to Saturday at Chicago. And if it takes 7, for the first time since 1987, if it takes 7, that'll be Monday, June 8th, here in Pittsburgh. You saw Bruce Firestone and Phil Esposito earlier in this intermission as they had the coin toss to determine expansion and entry draft. First of all, we want to talk about Ottawa. Bruce, are you close to hiring a coach?
Well, we've interviewed a number of coaches, and a lot of good coaching candidates out there. We're having a devil of time making up our mind which one we want to take.
How soon do you think it might be a decision for you?
Well, we'd like to have a coach in place for the entry draft, and that's our goal right now.
Be interested in hearing how the interest is. Of course, we know hockey's popular in Canada, but how are things progressing for you?
Well, things went very well. The fans in Ottawa have been really just crazy about NHL hockey, and we sold out our season's tickets, a little over 10,000 season's tickets in about 10 days, so we were really happy with that.
Let's turn to Phil Esposito. I know Phil has been involved in a lot of production and a lot of promotion down in the Tampa Bay area. Tell us about the interest there and how things are right now.
Well, last week we had what we call a select-a-seat weekend, and did very, very well. People came in, saw the arena, sat down, and every seat was a good sight line. It's like Ottawa's doing and like San Jose has done. We're playing in a 10,400 seat arena. It's going to be great for the first couple of years, and everybody was very happy. We're about 4,300 now, season tickets. We're not at 10,000 like Bruce was in 10 days, but we hope by the time the season starts, we'll be about 75, 8,000. That's what we're looking for.
We want to get a quick look at that jersey before our time is up here.
Enjoy.
Turn it around now.
Okay. Oh, wow. I wish. I wish this was my brother or me if we were younger.
Show the special facet, the underarm.
See that underarm thing there? I hope we get to see that an awful lot.
For celebration.
That's right.
All the best to both of you gentlemen. Thanks for joining us here. Our coverage of these playoffs will continue in just a moment.
Full day turned into a spectacular night in downtown Pittsburgh, and another big night for the Penguins. They lead Chicago 3-1 as we get ready for the third period.
This will be a chance for the Blackhawks to show everybody what they're all about. Mike Keenan, there's method to his madness. He sat Chelios, he sat Roenick in the second period. What he does, he sits them down, and then he opens the door and lets them get out. And after they've been caged for a whole period, sometimes they come out and really rip it up when they get onto the ice. We'll see.
They'll be shorthanded to start this period. The faceoff brought to you by Molson, a part of the NHL tradition since 1957. Molson is Canadian beer. Still a minute and 35 seconds left and a bench penalty for having had too many men on the ice. Penguins with Francis, now Stevens, but he's played the puck out to the right side and Yager couldn't get to it in time. Steve Smith and Chris Chelios out there together on defense. Ryan Noonan, one of the forwards, and now Goulet has just come out to replace Larmer as Francis makes the pass to Yager, drives over the line with a pass to Lemieux. Mario puts it in front. Francis was well covered. Chris Chelios gets double teamed. Stevens trying to sneak back to the net, ran into Smith. Here's Lemieux trying to get it to the blue line, could not, and it slapped up off the boards and down the ice off the stick of Brian Noonan. 51 seconds left in that penalty. Murphy turned sharply on the forechecking of the toe. Now Tocchet moves it up, and it's dumped down into the Chicago end of the ice. Belfour went back in the net, and you see the Blackhawks failing to get it out of the zone. A quick shot. Oh, what a tip by Tocchet, just wide. Here's Lemieux, and it jumped off his stick. Back to Walt Samuelson. Into Mario Lemieux, quickly to Murphy, covering the right point, puts it in front, into the skates of Kevin Stevens. Murphy has it again, shoots one that hits Mateau, and he just swings it out of play. It ended up in the seats. Mateau did not close his glove on it, he sort of slapped it. You don't buy that, huh? Well, that's the estimation, at least, of the referee here, and there's no delay of the game call.
Well, Chris Chelios had just over 9 minutes, 9 minutes and 7 seconds of ice time in the second period, so his ice time is down a bit, but he started this period on the kill. I really think that Mike Keenan will use him a ton in this period. I mean, how can you not? He is tremendous offensively. He's not going to hurt you defensively, and you've got a 3-1 deficit to make up. And we should know pretty quickly just about how badly Jeremy Roenick's thumb is banged up. Rich Preston said that there was no injury problem, so we'll see if Mike Keenan goes back to Jeremy Roenick.
Final 6 seconds of this penalty ticking off. And the Blackhawks will be back at full strength. They played the puck deep into the Pittsburgh zone. Ball Stanley back. He gets hammered on the end boards. Blackhawks player down as well. Greg Gilbert comes in, tying up the man and the puck. Teams are back at full strength. The Pittsburgh Penguins have a 2-goal lead over the Chicago Blackhawks. Kelly is back out there, isn't he? Number 27, Jeremy Roenick. He has Larmer on one side, Nateau on the other. Larmer coming out of the corner, gets pushed to the end boards, and the Penguins up with the puck. Ulf Samuelsson can't get it to Tocchet in time. The Hawks dump it to the corner. Kjell Samuelsson stepped in front of Larmer. Tocchet after it. Got it to the line. Here's Nateau with a shot that went wide. Comes to the right side. Chelios lets one fly that's blocked and recovered by Ron Francis. The pass up the middle to Tocchet. Tocchet pulled back a little by Chelios. Tocchet dumps it in, then takes the hit from Steve Smith, who knew it was coming.
But he was willing to take the hit and get the puck in deep, and it was a smart play because he was only 6 feet inside the blue line.
Now Trottier lets one go, and a pad save as Belfour flicked out the right leg. Roberts at center to Kjell Samuelsson, and the Penguins shoot it back in. And Belfour protected it. Yager stole it, but didn't have anybody to give it to as Belfour was a little late. Getting back into the goal mouth.
I think he was trying a bank shot there off of Belfour.
Now Roberts will start out. The pass to Brian Trottier to Bob Airy, who tips it into the zone. Ryan Marchment back for Chicago. He's given it to Mike Peluso. And at center ice, Hudson is pushed off the puck, and the Blackhawks are forced down into their own end of the ice one more time. Here they come, led by Marchment. Goes to the left side. Peluso went to center one for Hudson. Couldn't get it to him. It's loose back of the net. Hudson trying to put it in front. Now Peluso's centering attempt fails, and up with it is Lemieux. Mario to Murphy. Larry Murphy to Mario Lemieux. Cuts in, couldn't shift to the backhand. Evan Stevens goes to the corner, feeds Murphy at the point. Murphy plays it to the open side of the ice. Yager went after it, but the Blackhawks got there first, and they just cleared the zone. No further. Samuelsson put it back in, and Marchment clears it ahead. This is Goulet. Chicago trying to complete a player change after dumping it in, and Ulf Samuelsson moves it out. It's down the boards, on into the Chicago zone, not far enough for icing, and this is something that Pittsburgh does so well. Just chews up some valuable time, gets fresh legs out there. Dumped in by the Blackhawks defenseman, Fredisek Ventura, and cleared right back out by the Penguins' Ron Francis. And again, it rolls, but not far enough for icing. This is Brent Sutter back of that Chicago net. He was so upset after losing the faceoff to Ron Francis that turned into the winning goal here in Game 1. It was a difficult day for him yesterday, but he was back as the usual friendly, smiling Brent Sutter today. Probably not right now if you were to talk to him with his team down 3-1. Puck ends up deep in the Pittsburgh zone, and Ron Francis again clears it out. This time it's got a little more on it, but not enough to be called for icing. Boy, that was close. That's one of the big weapons in the Pittsburgh arsenal of protecting a lead. And now the Chicago Blackhawks have made a two-line pass. Offside is the call. Still a little more than 15 minutes left in regulation time.
Mike Keenan looking up and down his bench. He's looking for the right combination. He knows that he has to use his top people. And these are the people that help him during the season. Daryl Sutter, Rich Preston, Dave McDowell, goaltending coach Vladislav Tretiak, although he's not a full-time guy in Chicago.
Well, well, tucked away there in the middle of your picture. Bruce Willis signing one of those shark fins. They have come to Pittsburgh for the Stanley Cup Finals. And the Penguins leading 3-1. Game 2. Dirk Graham put one in front. Off Barrasso's catching glove right back toward the pads. And now a penalty being called. A holding penalty signaled by referee Terry Gregson. 3-1. Pittsburgh leads as we pause for a regional break. The 1992 Stanley Cup Championship round, live and exclusive on Sports Channel America.
Gordy Roberts is off for holding. It was a stick hold. Mike Peluso was trying to move around the net, and he actually moved the puck with his hand and then protested to referee Terry Gregson that he was being held. Tom Barrasso moved it back out front, but as Peluso came around, there he is on the left. You can see Roberts holding him, and finally Peluso just stood up and turned around. Look at him protesting to Terry Gregson, and the protest worked.
Roberts is off, and this will be the third power play of the game for Chicago. They were on the power play when Pittsburgh got the lead tonight. Bob Airy's goal just before the midway point of the first period was shorthanded. Steve Smith sets up Chelios here. Back to Steve Smith. Smith lets it go, and it's turned aside out in front of the net. Recovered by Jeremy Roenick. Can't get it to Larmer, who's on this side of the ice, and Larry Murphy banks it off the boards. Chris Chelios quarterbacking the power play with a pass to Smith. Goes to the left side. That's Larmer faking once, then his pass to the near side to Mateau didn't arrive. Roenick and Mateau double team Ulf Samuelsson, but the Penguins are up with the puck, and Mario Lemieux has shot it down the ice.
Boy, two outstanding plays by Ulf Samuelsson in his last two sequences. Number one, he poke checked behind the net to get the puck out of the zone, and that time he got double crunched along the boards, lost his stick, and still moved it up with his hand.
Big bounce here and a strange carom that ended up in front of Tom Barrasso after Chelios had dumped it in. Now Chelios with a rip, and that's wide. Steve Smith on the left side, trying to center. Barrasso has been knocked down. And Jim Pack challenges Steve Larmer. And Noonan comes in for Chicago. The linesman trying to get people apart. Jim Pack really upset here. Took a poke at Brent Sutter as well.
A cool head. A cool head has to prevail in this situation for Jim Pack. Barrasso really got tangled up with Steve Larmer and then decided to go down to try to call a penalty, try to get a penalty call on it. But Steve Larmer, I don't think, was guilty of any infraction on the play. Let's take a look. He's circling in front. He's looking for a deflection. He got a piece of it. And he may have got his legs tangled up a little bit with Tom Barrasso, but it wasn't anything flagrant. Take a look at it from this angle.
Barrasso has been consulted by the trainer, Skip Thayer, and apparently he's okay. You think back to the series with Boston, and in game one, he appeared to be favoring his right leg, almost like a groin pull perhaps, and we were told no, he was fine, although he had a treatment the next day, we were told.
He does kind of have a recurring problem with his right hip, so that's what he wants to avoid, stretching or straining.
Seems to be okay. Still a minute and 2 seconds remaining in the penalty to Roberts. Pittsburgh maybe getting a break here. Maybe Barrasso buying some time for the penalty killers. Lemieux and Francis with Shell Samuelsson and Ulf Samuelsson. Brent Sutter in the middle. Larmer on one side, Noonan on the other. That's the forward line for Chicago. Brent Sutter took too much time and he's waved out. Chelios right in on top of the face-off circle, just to the right of Brian Noonan. And Chelios tips the puck back to Steve Smith. Smith lets it go, and that hit Ulf Samuelsson. Noonan out of the corner, down to Brent Sutter. Larmer at the side of the net, but quickly he's choked off. They can't find anybody to give it to. Noonan spins it in deep right through Sutter. Brent Sutter had it knocked off his stick by Lemieux. Noonan turns on Francis, who knocked the puck loose. Smith covers the point. Steve Smith into Brian Noonan. Chase to the corner boards. Now Brent Sutter gets a stick on it. Around to Noonan. Larmer being tied up here by Shell Samuelsson as he drove to the net, and Noonan plays it to Sutter. Larmer down on the deck. They have nobody in front to get it to. Now Smith from the point. His drive didn't get through, and Lemieux shoots it out of the zone.
Outstanding penalty killing. The Hawks tried the power play, and they kept it on one side of the ice. They never spread out the Penguins at all. Aggressive by Ulf Samuelsson, good plays by Lemieux, and ultimately the Hawks never even got a shot.
Now they fail to get across the line, and the penalty is coming to a close. They're over the line now, however. Roenick knocked it back to Chera, trying to get Roenick loose as he went back to the net. Michel Goulet gets to it. Goulet to Roenick, into Goulet. Back to Roenick. To Goulet, they feed the blue line, nothing doing there, and the Hawks will chase it. Down into their own zone. This is going to be an icing call. Let's pause for a regional break. 1992 Stanley Cup Finals here on Sports Channel America.
Part of being a coach in the National Hockey League is putting up sayings and slogans on the chalkboard. In the Chicago locker room, there's 5 words on the board. Remember the first letters of each word. System, work, execute, attitude, and tenacious. Those letters add up to sweat. Right now, it could be the Chicago Blackhawks fans who are sweating as you look at the score. Jigs?
Yeah, you're right, JD. Down by a game in this series, down by 2 goals in tonight's second game. And hope to take home ice advantage away from the Pittsburgh Penguins. There's still lots of time. This time the puck after the faceoff was won by Chicago, but tipped up into the seats. 12 minutes and 28 seconds remaining in the third period. Barrasso out for a little skate just to keep that right leg loosened up. Well, we had so many discussions with the people around Chicago. There's a former Blackhawk great who's handled their farm team, John Marks, doing some advanced scouting for them and working on this playoff round as well. Roy Loney gets the puck out of the Pittsburgh zone. His passes to Yager, driving on Graham, get knocked off balance. And Marchment takes it back in the net. Went to the left side for Greg Gilbert. Gilbert on 2 Stanley Cup winners with the New York Islanders, back in the lineup tonight, but now an offside as Dirk Graham took the play back into the zone. Scotty Bowman has surrounded himself with a very good coaching staff as well. The man they call Chico, Rick Kehoe, starred for this Pittsburgh team for so many years. Rick Patterson came out of Chicago's organization. Barry Smith has been around and done a lot of traveling and advanced scouting. Pierre McGuire, of course, and the goaltending coach is Gilles Malache. And Gilles Malache, along with Barry Smith and general manager Craig Patrick, all together with John Weldane, the strength and conditioning coach. Got it right this time, John. Boy, he was all over me today about my calling him John Wellwood during the Boston series. Weldane.
Any ink is good ink.
Yeah, but you try and tell John. Here's Lemieux driving over the line. Mario Lemieux looks to Tocchet. There's the pass, but Tocchet couldn't relay it. And now it's cleared out of the zone, and Shel Samuelson chases it down the ice. Dirk Graham came in to forecheck. Samuelson from behind the net flips it high. That goes out of play. 11 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in the third period. Pittsburgh leads by a pair. 26 years of age, 15 Stanley Cup playoff goals this spring, including 2 here tonight. Gave Pittsburgh the lead and a little bit of insurance perhaps. Chicago has dumped the puck in toward the corner. Now Peluso chases it back to the net. Big collision here. The Penguins recover and Ron Francis gets it out of the zone. Blackhawks recover. Peluso goes to the left side and shoveled right back into the zone. That's Hudson. And Hudson went to center when it came loose in front. And cleared out by Paul Stanton. He got quite a bank off that shot. Off the boards, down the ice. Blackhawks touch it first. 11 minutes, 10 seconds in the third period at Pittsburgh. The Penguins on top 3-1. Downtown Pittsburgh on this Thursday night. Well, we've talked about the artistry of Mario Lemieux. There's another factor involved here, Bill, in my thinking from the Pittsburgh side of things. The fact that Ulf Samuelsson is playing totally under control. He's had 1 minor penalty in the last 11 playoff games.
Yeah, his discipline has been outstanding.
Close call, Chicago. Now they're forced out into the center ice area. Steve Smith looks to dump it right back in. Does. Larmer after it. Larmer with Roenick. Roenick in front of the net. Can't get the backhander away. Boy, did they choke things off as number 27 moved in. And now the Penguins moving up, and Brian Trottier was leveled with a big hit. Trottier replaced by Airy.
Man, oh man, he saw Steve Smith coming, and Trottier was able to get the shoulder into him, so as hard as Trottier got hit, he flattened Steve Smith.
Smith being chased here by Francis. The puck goes to Chelios. Right side to Noonan. Noonan into the corner. Brent Sutter after it. He's taken to the boards by Roberts. Francis trying to get the puck around Chelios. Couldn't do it. Michel Goulet centered one that was tipped by Larry Murphy. Now Sutter steps into Murphy, but Roberts moves the puck smartly to Bob Airy, and the Penguins are out of the zone. Francis through center, shoots it in wide. Belfour playing it away from Phil Bourque. This is Chris Chelios. Off the boards, Trottier, after that rest, is back out, takes the puck at the point and dumps it in. We passed the midway point of the third period. Steve Smith parks behind the Chicago net, looks up ice, went to the left side, but overled Brent Sutter. And Shel Samuelson fires it on into the Chicago zone. Again, Balfour will leave it back in the net. And This time, Steve Smith starts the play.
You see how tough it is for Chicago to get any flow going because the Penguins are allowing the puck to do the work. And now the Penguins are playing the way the Blackhawks usually like to play, and that is getting it in deep. They're chipping it out high off the glass out of their own zone. And when they get to the red line, they're getting it in deep. So Steve Smith and his guys got to go just about 195, 190 feet to get it all the way down. A shot of Steve Smith, a shot of Brian Trottier, and both of them coming together. You can see that Brian saw him coming and was able to brace himself and looked like he caught Steve Smith by surprise.
Trottier has gone back to the Pittsburgh bench. Mr. Tommy Ivan, one of the great men in this game, former coach.
Yeah, he coached the Detroit Red Wings to 3 Stanley Cup championships and was the GM for the Chicago Blackhawks the last time they won the Stanley Cup, and for their last 2 appearances in the Stanley Cup Finals in '71 and '73.
Now from the blue line, long shot goes wide of the Pittsburgh goal. Mario Lemieux stepped in front of Jocelyn Lemieux, but out at center ice, Brian Marchment picks it up and dumps it right back in. That bounces off Barrasso's skate. Pack plays it around the boards. Dirk Graham trying to set up Jocelyn Lemieux. Now to Graham to the blue line. Marchment one times it. That changed direction in front of the net. Jim Pack trying to protect the puck. He's held on the deck. Greg Gilbert now releases him as the puck goes behind the Pittsburgh net. Shell Samuelson unable to get it up the boards. Now the Penguins do clear it out off Kevin Stevens' stick. Jocelyn Lemieux puts it right back in the Pittsburgh zone. And here is Shell Samuelson. Talked so much during the series between the Penguins and the Rangers, and also between the Penguins and the Bruins, about how this Pittsburgh team protects a lead.
I'm really surprised that Mike Keenan is rolling his defense over. He's got 3 pairs of defensemen, 6 total, and he's just rotating them. That means that Chris Chelios does not get out there every second shift.
The Penguins are out of the zone. They've got a 2-on-1. Trottier with Yager. Brian Trottier drives in. There's Yager. He shoots. Belfour makes the save. Yager puts it back in the net again. The Penguins will be forced out to center. Up in the air. The puck knocked down. They'll face it off outside the blue line. Now just a little more than 8 minutes remaining in the third period.
On a very, very busy press row, and I've got 2 of the fine hockey writers here in Pittsburgh. The only problem is there's a newspaper strike in Pittsburgh. Dave Molinari, what do you do with yourself?
I mostly spend my time calling Tom McMillan's 900 hockey hotline.
Tommy, I hear, this is Tom McMillan. I hear you do have the 900 number to try and keep you busy.
Hockey until 11 p.m. and after 11 p.m.
Is this what you thought the Pittsburgh Penguins would do playing-wise up in the second game like this?
I'm surprised what Chicago's doing, actually. I think it's clear that you can't intimidate the Penguins. I'm surprised they tried that strategy.
Well, we'll take a look right now as we have an injury to what player? Jigs?
Yeah, JD, it's Phil Bourque who is down on the ice here. And again, Skip Thayer, the head trainer of the Pittsburgh Penguins, has come out to attend to an injured player.
Sure hope he's all right. He has not played a lot in the last half of this hockey game. But he's moving and he's talking to Skip Thayer. He's a tough guy. He'll get up.
Phil Bourque has been very effective for this team. He had a couple of goals in the series against Washington. He didn't have a goal against the Rangers nor against the Boston Bruins. And boy, he wanted a point desperately in that series at Boston, especially the 2 games there, being from that New England area. Made a big goal here in game 1 of this series with the Blackhawks. Apparently Phil's okay and is headed back to the Pittsburgh players bench. Play underway just a brief second before the puck went out of play at the Pittsburgh players bench, so they'll line up again, but this time outside the zone, and Skip Thayer continues to attend to Phil Bourque.
I think he may have been hit up high. It looks like he's opening and closing his mouth. Maybe took a shot to the jaw. He looked like he was dazed, had his bell rung when he was flat on his face. Yeah, you're looking at an injury from the neck up here, folks. It's not a knee, it's not an elbow. He took a shot up high.
Now following the face-off, Mario Lemieux got it back into Larry Murphy, and he's cleared it to center. Brian Marchment shoots it back in. The Hawks get the play onside, and Dirk Graham is able to recover, but can't play it around Roberts, and here's Lemieux. Mario Lemieux has scored twice tonight. Got checked just outside the line, and the puck shoveled right back in by Marchment. Larry Murphy starts the play for Pittsburgh, giving it to Roberts, up to Lemieux, 2-on-2 at center. The puck seemed to slip away from Mario. Stefan Matteau brings it across the line. The former Calgary Flame gets checked, however, and Tocchet has sent Kevin Stevens to the line. Right back to Tocchet on right wing. Rick Tocchet plays it around the boards. And the Blackhawks will regain control. Graham goes to the open wing as the Blackhawks complete a player change. Rick Tocchet has the puck here. Tocchet has set up Lemieux for both his goals in this game. Now Brian Trottier has come out to replace Mario. Trottier joined by Airy and Yager as the Hawks dump it in deep. It comes up the boards. Airy tipping it to Yager. Back to Bob Airy. Big collision with Marchment. Kravchuk goes rink wide, and there's Murphy back for the Penguins. He clears it out. Michel Goulet got checked, and now Kuchera leads Kravchuk tight on the right wing board. 6.5 minutes to go in the third period. Brent Sutter gets to the line, was checked by Trottier. Hawks have dumped it in. Michel Goulet after it. Goulet trying to flip it out in front. Barrasso has it and holds it for a faceoff.
And the dump and chase seems to have disappeared, but the Blackhawks are still trying to pinch in. Brian Trottier a few minutes ago made a real good play. The arrow's pointing at the puck. The circle is around Trottier, and he just beats the Hawk to the puck, chips it by him, and away he comes on the 2-on-1. Now the defenseman who is back, and we can stop right here, is Frank Kuchera. His job ultimately is to be exactly in between these two guys so that Eddie Belfour can play the shot. He doesn't want to let the pass get through, but you see that he went to Brian Trottier, and as soon as he committed to Brian, he just slipped it over to Jaromir Jagr. But a good save by Eddie Belfour kept the Hawks in this one, because that would have been the gravy goal.
Trottier, one of 4 Calder Trophy winners in this series. Rookie of the Year back in 1976. Tommy Barrasso, 84, Mario in 85, and Ed Belfour in 1991, last year. The kid can still play, can't he?
You bet he can. Not in the same role as he was in when he was younger as an offensive leader. But he's a valuable guy to Scotty Bowman and his team.
Mike Keenan watching as Trottier went over to say something to Ron Francis. Now they line up for the faceoff. Trottier on the draw. Able to beat Mike Hudson and Samuelson. That's Ulf. Out on the right side with a pass to Phil Bourque. Bourque has dumped it in right to Belfour. He turns it up the boards. There's Peluso. Mike Peluso checked by Ron Francis. Now Steve Smith has trouble getting it inside the Pittsburgh zone. Hudson turning on the boards. Francis draped all over him. Smith fires it off the boards this time. Rosso unable to pick it up. And now the whistle has sounded. Shoving and pushing. The man standing, Robert Jesse Pulford, former coach, former general manager, now senior vice president of the Chicago Blackhawks. He was upset with the way the Blackhawks played in the opening game of this series, and I would imagine he'll be even more upset tonight. Gotten away from what we consider to be their game plan, or did in that second period.
And I still don't think they're playing to their game plan. What they are doing now is dumping it in as a plan B instead of a plan A. When the Hawks come through the neutral zone with a head of steam and get it in deep, it plays to their strength. I mentioned that earlier. They're able to get it in deep and use their speed, their forechecking, their hitting. When they use the dump and chase as a plan B, what you've already done is slowed everybody down that is on the rush, so you never do get good first man pressure.
The Hawks are pressured back into their own zone here as Trottier forced them in. Trottier, Jagr, and Loney. Jagr up with a loose puck. Starts in from the blue line. Matteau with a pick going on the play as well. And Rod Buskus. And now the puck underneath Marchment for a moment and propelled on into the Pittsburgh end. Shel Samuelson turning it up the boards. Trottier moves it to Jagr. Jagr pulls up. Pack jumps into the play. Jimmy Pack over the line. Fakes and moves in a little deeper around Kuchera. Makes the pass to Loney. Loney and Jagr on the end boards. Jagr reached in to recover. Jaromir Jagr has played it outside the blue line. Paul Stanton waits. And now carries it right back into the Chicago zone. He had Lemieux headed for the front of the net and couldn't get it to him.
And Mike Keenan still is just rolling over his defenseman. He's using 3 pairs.
Penguins dump it in, then regain the blue line to get the play onside. Less than 5 minutes to go in this third period. Down the left side, and here's Roenick with a pass that doesn't get to Larmer. Stanton gets it to the line, but not out. Now the whistle is sounded. The play was offside, being delayed and called back by linesman Ray Scapanello. 4.5 minutes left in regulation time. Chris Chelios chasing the puck back into the Chicago zone. Chelios didn't get as much ice time in that second period, and here's Lemieux with a shot. No problem there for Ed Belfour, but a problem for Mike Keenan, Darryl Sutter, and the coaching staff of this Blackhawks team, down by 2 goals, and they pull one out of the hat.
Chris Chelios, for some reason, has not seen the ice time in this game that he saw in Game 1. He is their top offensive threat from the blue line. And even though this team is trailing 3-1, he is only getting out there every 3rd shift.
He's in agreement with Belfour, and he wants to say something to referee Gregson, so that's delaying the face-off a little bit. Now they line up, and immediately Lemieux fired the puck. Chelios moves it out to center. Back gives it to Shell Samuelson. Bounces it wide at Belfour, and here's Chris Chelios. To Steve Smith off his stick. Swept up ahead by Shell Samuelson. Tocchet couldn't get to it. Now the Blackhawks do it. Lateau is squeezed into the boards by Shell Samuelson. Back moves it to the right side. Tocchet is bowled over on a big hit. Steve Smith failed to complete the pass, and then he gets back before Tocchet can arrive for the puck. Tocchet has lost his right glove, has to go back for it as Steve Smith dumps the puck in. Tocchet with all his equipment in place now moves it toward Ron Francis. Francis checked in the center ice zone. Jeremy Roenick gets across the line on left wing, but the play is offside. 3 minutes and 22 seconds left in this 3rd period.
And at this stage of a hockey game, when you're down by 2 goals, you have to look to your leaders. A man that scores 50 or more during the regular season has to be the guy. He's got 10 goals and 10 assists in 15 playoff games. Chris Chelios is the other guy, and you see Roenick coming off the ice in anger. I think he's simply upset that he's being pulled off the ice.
Wherever you're watching the 1992 Stanley Cup Finals on Sports Channel, rest assured that you'll be able to see the triple cast coverage of the 1992 Summer Olympic Games from Barcelona, Spain. See, where 56 of the best women basketball players in the U.S. are in a training camp there for 12 positions. And here we're watching the best hockey players compete for the Stanley Cup. Brent Sutter over on the left side. Long shot just wide of the net. Bob Airy picks it up. Got it to the line. Marchment held it onside, they rule. Now it's knocked away from Lateau and brought back by Phil Bourque. Bob Airy up to join the play. Takes the puck. Looks to Bourque. Gives it to him. He shoots. Kicked out by Belfour. Airy trying to come out of the corner, and the Hawks, 2 of them go to him. Rod Busquets tying up Airy and the puck, and there is no further play. Now less than 3 minutes to go in this period.
You can tell that the Hawks have had to open it up because they've given up 2-on-1s here in the 3rd period, so they're trying low percentage plays. And if they don't pull it out, they will be returning to Chicago down 2-0 in this series. We'll have Game 3 for you from the Chicago Stadium Saturday at 8:30 Eastern. And it will be a steep hill and a very slippery hill for the Blackhawks to climb should they fall 2 games behind in this series, even with the help of Chicago Stadium and its crowd.
The Hawks, you know, had won 11 in a row, 6 of them away from Chicago Stadium before arriving here in Pittsburgh. Now a long shot gets through to Belfour and is brought back. Greg Gilbert fires it wide of the net. Quickly, Lemieux went in after it, but the Penguins are able to clear it out. That was Jocelyn Lemieux for Chicago. He is out here with Graham and Gilbert. Dirk Graham plays it in around Larry Murphy, who turns and goes after the puck. Murphy got double teamed, but was still able to move it to the corner. And Troy Loney moves it on to the stick of Trottier, and then it jumped away from him, and Kravchuk takes over. Trottier forcing him in a little deeper. Kravchuk trying to put on a stick handling display, was checked by Jaromir Jagr. Troy Loney took a whack across the arm. Now they try to tie up the puck in front of the Pittsburgh bench and do. And Loney is over to talk to referee Gregson.
Well, we're down to 1 minute and 54 seconds, and I am completely puzzled as to why Mike Keenan would not double shift Jeremy Roenick. Roenick is sitting right in front of him. Long face. Chris Chelios has only been used every third shift here in the third period.
Begin to wonder too, Bill, does he pull Ed Belfour? And if so, when? With 1 minute and 54 seconds left in the third period, down by 2. Does he get the 6th attacker out there soon?
Got to get him out there pretty soon.
Some discussion here with the media after game 1, the fact that they went behind with 12 seconds left in the game. They didn't get Belfour on the bench at any time for an extra man.
And they still almost scored.
Now the Penguins have cleared the puck to center. Chelios back with it. Chelios turned it up ice, and that results in a 2-line pass. Well, here's how the game has gone. Bob Airy opened up the scoring for Pittsburgh, getting a shorthanded goal and a pass from Jim Pack. That made it 1-0, stayed that way into the second period. Chicago tied it. Brian Marchment from Noonan and Gilbert. Marchment's first in the playoffs. But just a couple of minutes later, Mario Lemieux would get his first of 2. This one on a power play with an assist to Tocchet. And then at 15:23, the big guy from Tocchet and Shell Samuelson. That's all the scoring in the game tonight. 3-1 Pittsburgh. Wasn't that many years ago that the coach of the Penguins used to have to sneak out behind the players' bench. Didn't walk across the ice. Gene Ubriaco, who's going to Atlanta to coach the Atlanta Knights. Team doesn't perform that well. They had to cut a door behind the players' bench, and Gino would go around behind this arena. And I think Mike Keenan might prefer that the door was behind his bench tonight. He'll have to face the media. I'm sure he'll have a lot to say, but it won't be exactly what a lot of the writers want to hear. He was all over one writer who he met today from Chicago. Said, "Where have you been?" Referring, of course, to the fact that the Bulls are perhaps grabbing some of the glory in Chicago. Now Lemieux on this face-off. Turned on Hudson. The puck goes back to the point. Busquets. Marchment. He backhands it in. Belfour stays on the ice. Barrasso plays the puck up. And it's cleared out of the zone by Tocchet. Fling back Brian Noonan to Marchment. 65 seconds left in the third period. The Hawks dump it in. Belfour stays on the ice. Chicago didn't regain control of the puck. And here's Mario Lemieux out through center ice. Lemieux will dump it in, wide of Belfour. Pittsburgh changing on the fly. We're into the last minute. And the Blackhawks dump the puck to center ice. Ulf Samuelsson knocked it down. It appears that the Blackhawks have no intention of pulling in Belfour. They can't right here because they're forced in. This crowd has stood as one. Another standing ovation for the Penguins. The Blackhawks shooting the puck the length of the ice. Ulf Samuelsson, and that's an icing call.
Well, this team in black and gold and white have certainly earned the right to be here in the finals, have impressed everybody on the road to the Stanley Cup Finals, and continue to prove to me and a lot of other people that they were worthy champions last year. I'm not sure that a lot of people were convinced that this team was that good.
No, or that they could repeat. Yet, you know, that deal that they made with the Philadelphia Flyers, Bill, I think a lot of us at the time just sort of raised our eyebrows and said, uh-oh, you're going to Tocchet. Put a Rick Tocchet in this lineup. Michelle Samuelson, Ken Regan is a backup goaltender. Yeah, you do trade Paul Coffey and Mark Recchi, but it has certainly worked for Pittsburgh to this point. And that point is up 2-0 in the Stanley Cup Final, heading for Chicago. Final 12 seconds tick off. And the Hawks can't get through center ice, so they elect to dump it in. The Penguins have protected the lead and win this hockey game by a score of 3-1.
I want to give the Pittsburgh Penguins full credit. They played an outstanding game in trying to protect a 3-1 lead. They chipped it out, they dumped it in. Positionally, they were strong. But at the other end, the Blackhawks seemed to fall off of their game plan. I have no idea what happened to them.
Final scores, Pittsburgh 3, Chicago 1. We pause now for a regional break. We'll return to the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh. More of our coverage on Sports Channel America.
The lights of the city of Pittsburgh are even brighter tonight. 3-1. The Penguins win this one. Our Northwest Airlines game summary. Bob Airy, a shorthanded tally from Jimmy Packett, 9:52 of the first. That was it for the scoring then, but in the second, Brian Marchment, his first ever playoff point and goal from Noonan and Gilbert at 10:24. Rick Tocchet set up Mario Lemieux on the power play at 12:55, and then it was Tocchet and Samuelson combining. Shell Samuelson on Lemieux's second of the night at 15:23. That was just some icing on the cake. No scoring in the third. Shots on goal in the game, a low total, and you might expect that, especially on Pittsburgh's part in the third, because they just wanted to shut Chicago down, and they did it. Rick Tocchet came to this team in a trade. You watch Mario Lemieux, and you watch his line mate. That's what's called the ideal setup. All you have to do is give a pass like that to Mario, and into the net it often sails. And a celebration, the second one in 3 nights for these Pittsburgh Penguins, and for the second time in the same number of nights, Rick Tocchet has joined us here. Congratulations on being our star of the game, for setting up those 2 big plays. I just wonder, coming here from Philadelphia, do you wind up getting tempted? I believe Bill Clement mentioned this tonight, tempted into trying to play like Mario out there and waiting for the puck to come to you rather than being the power forward that you were brought here for?
Yeah, no question. But it's good when you have Mario, he's on the bench and he just says, just go to the net, let me have the puck. So he reminds me a lot. It's kind of funny, you know, sometimes when hang on the puck too long, he'll just remind me and say, just give me the puck and go to the net, which, he's the best at.
Yeah, I was just wondering what your assessment of the game was tonight, because Chicago came in with a game plan. In the first period, it looked to me like they executed it pretty well, and then as things went on, you took over.
Well, I think their game plan was obviously to get Peluso and Grimson more in the game and try to stir something up. And we've all playoff. We've learned discipline, and that's the key for us. We got to walk away from that stuff or skate away from that stuff. And I'd rather take a hit, in the face and win the Stanley Cup. Basically, that's our motto.
Well, I guess you took one there in the last minute of play, and we didn't know if you'd been hurt or not.
No, I saw a couple big guys coming. I just ducked out of the way, just got the puck out, but I'm fine.
Do you anticipate that there'll be much of a game change once you go into the smaller confines of Chicago Stadium?
Well, they're going to come out even harder. I mean, their game's forechecking and hitting, and they played well in Chicago, and the fans are getting them going, and it's like playing in a matchbox in there. You don't have time to breathe. So hopefully we can sustain their forecheck again, and get those type of goals, the 2-on-1, 3-on-2 breaks. That's what we thrive on.
You seem like such a confident guy. You ever get nervous before a game? I mean, does your team collectively seem that way?
Well, we got a lot of characters on this team, and you're always constantly talking, goofing around in the room before the game. It's not, you focus at certain points, but it's tough to get nervous when you got Alfie Samuelson in the room and Kevin Stevens. These guys are characters, and it's a lot of fun to get with these guys before the game.
Great change of scenery for you. For the first time, you've been in the finals 2 other times. First time you're with a team that's up 2 games to none. We wish you all the best as you head into Chicago.
Thanks, Doc. Appreciate it.
Rick Tocchet, our guest tonight, his team a winner for the second time. 2 games to none, they have the advantage. The final score in this one, Pittsburgh 3 and Chicago 1. Our Docker save of the game. It came in the first period when there wasn't any score. Tom Barrasso faced an early flurry, and while shorthanded, Sutter, but the save made by Barrasso. Examination of this contest with Jiggs McDonald and Bill Clement.
Well, Mario Lemieux gets a pair of goals tonight. There are a lot of other impressive factors and individuals in this hockey game as well.
I can't tell you how impressed I was with the play of the 2 Samuelsons, Shell Samuelson and Ulf Samuelson. They took so many hits, and big hits in this game to make the play. And they almost always made the play. Got it out of the zone, got it to the people who were playing higher on the boards to try and take away the Chicago pinch. So those 2 guys come to mind immediately. I thought they were excellent defensively.
I'm going to add one more defenseman too, Jim Pack. I thought played as well as I've ever seen him play tonight. And then that Brian Trottier individual, the way he controls things, wins face-off, does so many. You heard the word discipline when Mike Emmerich was talking with Rick Tocchet. They certainly have that, and he talked about how they'll take a hit, won't be intimidated by the Blackhawks. I'm wondering about Saturday night. Maybe the Blackhawks don't intimidate Pittsburgh. How about that crowd at Chicago Stadium? That's going to be a big test for this team.
I say no way. And I say that the Chicago Blackhawks had to win this game because the Pittsburgh Penguins are immune to the momentum factor. I mean, these guys are so tough mentally that there's not such a thing as grabbing the emotional momentum away from them. So now the Chicago Blackhawks are in a huge hole. They just have to hope to play better. I don't think they can rely on the crowd because I'm convinced this Pittsburgh team will not rattle.
We get the opportunity, and I guess really we're blessed by this, the opportunity to see Pittsburgh 7 times a year as we both cover Patrick Division games regularly. We don't see this type of play from Pittsburgh, or at least didn't this past season overall.
Well, they're an incredible group of athletes. They're able to get into the playoffs and play a certain brand of hockey during the season, but it is obvious what they can accomplish when they put their minds to it and play it collectively, not only offensively, but once they develop a conscience for team defense. And let's face it, once you get into the playoffs, even these guys, Mario Lemieux, Kevin Stevens, Jaromir Jagr, Rick Tocchet, they realize they have to keep the puck out of their net. They get great help from their defensemen who are back in deep working their rear ends off. But all in all, this is a team that comes into the playoffs and the conscience for defense appears and they become incredible.
Still a great series. Maybe not as good a game tonight as game 1, but it was exciting, wasn't it? 3-1 Pittsburgh wins. Mike?
It was a thriller tonight, and Bill brought up a great point in team defense. Chicago only had 4 shots in the second period and only 4 shots in the third. John Davidson was down the hallway just a moment ago with assistant coach Rich Preston.
Rich, obviously a disappointing loss. You didn't seem to use your better players for the majority of the ice time compared to game 1. Why was that?
Well, as a team, the guys weren't coming as hard as we did in game 1. I don't know what it was, but we just weren't forechecking, creating the scoring chances like that's our game plan. We just weren't doing it.
Is Pittsburgh a better defensive team than what you thought they would be?
Well, we knew they were good going in, JD. I mean, they say it's Pittsburgh's all offense, but they have a good defensive club there, and their defense is definitely underestimated. I mean, they clear the puck, they get rid of the puck out of their zone quickly, and they played well tonight.
You play 2 games, you lose 2. You don't score much in the second game. What do you learn to look ahead towards game 3? What do you learn from these 2 games in Pittsburgh?
Well, we can't be running all over the place, and we got to, we're down 2, but the old cliche, the next one's most important. We got to win that first game in Chicago, and we'll be ready to roll.
Smaller ice surface in Chicago, will that help your team?
I don't know. Edmonton and Detroit, the bigger ice surface didn't hurt us, so I don't think it matters that much.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you.
Rich Preston, assistant coach of the Chicago Blackhawks, now licking their wounds from 2 losses in the first 2 games of the Stanley Cup Final Series. More in just a moment. You know, it seems like a long time ago. It was just halfway through regulation time of this game when Pittsburgh got a goal that really gave the Penguins a chance to clamp down control. Mario Lemieux got the goal. It was his second of the game, and the second time he made sure that Rick Tocchet got congratulations for sending him one beautiful pass. Tocchet with 2 assists and Lemieux with 2 goals, and Rick Tocchet puts his signature on this contest tonight. The final score of which is the Pittsburgh Penguins 3 and the Chicago Blackhawks 1. And now the Blackhawks are faced with the difficult chore of having to win 4 out of 5 games from a Pittsburgh team that just does not seem to buckle. And the other thing they have to recoil from is the fact that some of their star players are still not doing it. Ed Belfour is still winless, and Jeremy Roenick is still pointless. The 2 guys we mentioned at the top are probably the 2 guys that are going to be looked to get Chicago at least a win in this series. The 18,000 fans in the Oregon will be making a lot of noise. We talked about the fans and the noise at Boston Garden, though, and Pittsburgh was ahead in that series 2-0. Will it be a similar fate? We'll find out. Saturday night, 8:30 Eastern, Game 3, the Penguins and the Chicago Blackhawks. It takes 16 to get the cup. The Penguins have 14. They won 3-1. Good night, everybody.